All right, we're live. Blake Lively is through. She's finished. Her career is finished. This lawsuit is finished. It's just the most catastrophic thing possible. And yeah, it's all over for her. Blake Lively, absolute complete fucking loser.
That's what they would like you to believe.
They sure would. Listen, first, before we get started, I just want to say to the moderators that if we end up getting an influx of gloating Baldoni folk, only silence them if they become insulting. Let them say what they want. Let them gloat. Certainly engage with them, but please don't silence them just because we disagree with them. Let them come in here and say whatever the fuck they're gonna say. And but if they start insulting anybody, me, Angela, or anyone in chat, then they're gone. That's it. I don't want anybody around here who's gonna be fucking abusive like the guy they love. All right?
Yeah, right. I mean, it is kind of insulting just to be around anybody who's like defending a sexual harasser.
Well, look, we can
a retaliator.
We live in a world where, unfortunately, people like Lon's twins, whatever the heck her name is, Tun's twins. I'm sorry, I can't read your name very well. They side with people who are obviously awful human beings. And that's their prerogative. They want to side with an awful human being. Be my guest. That's your business. That's your prerogative. But don't show up here and start acting like the abusive human beings you support, because we don't tolerate that shit. And if
there's plenty of other places on the internet.
Yeah, you can go and be a fucking asshole somewhere else. Don't be a fucking asshole here, or you're not going to be an asshole here. We're going to boot you out. However, if you're going to show up here and have a conversation about it, and you want to talk about it logically and use your brain in the conversation and actually show some kind of a semblance of intelligence, then we welcome you to this conversation, because, we're open to everything. We got Erica is here, by the way. All Science is here. Deanna is here. Delicate is here. Marcus Blackstock. We haven't seen Marcus in forever. Oh, that's so great. Oh, that's great. Finished my book last weekend. Marcus finished my book Thank you for reading my book. I can't believe it's so funny. When people show up who've read the book right when we're in like the middle of like some crazy bullshit with the stories we're covering. But man, I'm so glad you really enjoyed the book. I poured my heart into it, and yeah, man, that means everything to me. I'm working on the audiobook right now. I'm actually cutting it. So I'm excited for that as well. Did I tell you that Erica was here?
Yes.
Because Erica is here. Okay, so listen, that's the first thing is if we do end up getting a bunch of people here, showering in the glory of their guy getting away with. Did I say Delicate is here? Because Delicate is here.
Hi, Delicate.
Are you going to Coachella next weekend, by the way? Is it? I think it's next week, isn't it? I think the first week is next week. It's Justin Bieber and it's, what's her name? Samantha Carpenter? Is that her name?
Sabrina Carpenter.
Sabrina Carpenter.
Sweet.
I'm interested in seeing her. I like her.
Yeah, you like her.
I do. I think she's a solid pop star. She really is. I'm not just talking about how hot she is.
Tonsil Twins is the username. The Baldoni fan that's with us.
Oh, Tonsil Twins. I don't know.
This is really funny. So part of this comment is the only reason this was even a story is the sexual harassment. I beg to differ, because the only reason this was even a story, literally the story in the New York Times, was covering his retaliation campaign.
Of course.
Like, that's Megan Twohey's beat. She's always covering people who behave badly and then retaliate for against their victims who speak up against their bad behavior. That's what she's always been covering.
Yeah.
And so that is literally the story that we all first heard about.
Blake Lively said herself that were it not for the retaliation, and anybody with a half a brain knows that the SH that she claimed wasn't something you would spend millions of dollars litigating on.
Yeah, and
she said, well, let me finish.
It was the New York Times article on the retaliation that Justin Baldoni sued the New York Times for. So if you want to say that the only reason this was even a story is the sexual harassment and not the retaliation, you're just not paying attention.
Yeah, you're not paying attention, and you want to hear, you want to believe that because it supports a narrative that you want to get behind. The reality is, you can believe Blake Lively when she says that I wouldn't have filed a lawsuit against them if they hadn't retaliated, that she has been through worse in Hollywood. Yeah, if you want to know about worse in Hollywood, Marcus is here. He just read my book. Leonardo DiCaprio did far worse than Justin Baldoni did to people in my book than he did to any of the women on his set in It Ends With Us. The fact is that he acted inappropriately on the set. He harassed many people, not just Blake Lively. He physically intimidated people on his set. They ran a shit show, as Ange Giannetti put it in her deposition. She called it a shit show.
Yeah.
And pretty much everyone agrees that they ran a shit show. But it wasn't until they retaliated that they crossed the line, and now they find themselves sitting in a courtroom this May answering for it. And while it would have been so great if the sexual harassment charges would have stood up against the obviously, from what I gather and glean, we're going to read today. You're going to be reading today, and we're going to be reacting. But it's New Jersey doesn't have protections for independent contractors, is my understanding, and neither does the Fed. And so if the Fed and New Jersey both don't have them, and even though California does have protections for independent contractors, the actual work took place in the state of New Jersey. And so the judge, in my understanding, then said, well, I can't, although Blake Lively sincerely believes that she was sexually harassed and has brought forth enough evidence where a jury could find in her favor and agree with her that she was sexually harassed.
Especially because the things that she's complained about have been, like, the Wayfair parties have admitted that those things did happen and that she reported these complaints in good faith. So a jury wouldn't really have to do much work to side with her on the verity of her sexual harassment claims. Like, yes, those events happened. Everybody agrees.
Yeah.
and they also agree that she made the claims in good faith.
And I'll tell you though, this is a couple of things we can expect right now, which is going to be a much faster trial. Obviously, we're not going to see Jenny Slate on the stand. We're not going to see, Isabel Farrar. We're not going to see
really
Alex
interesting
Slacks.
that you say this, because you think that the sexual harassment allegations are not going to.
I don't think that. That's not what I think. I think that that
of the
anything
other women.
other than what Blake Lively claims. See, because now that it's strictly a retaliation lawsuit.
Yeah.
What they have to establish is that she filed claims, that she actually
yes, I understand.
complained.
But here's more with MJ made this really great thread on this ruling today. And she said, all of the harassment evidence comes into the trial anyway. More with MJ's an attorney. She says the jury evaluating the retaliation claims needs to understand what she complained about in order to decide whether the response was illegal retaliation.
Yeah, but I guess so. Look, it's going to be interesting. We'll see how the judge rules on this, because I'm going to guess, and I'm not a lawyer, but I'm going to guess that Isabel Farrar is not going to get in as far as her actual experience, right? Which is, yes.
I will say that I can imagine one way in which Jenny Slate, Isabella Ferrer, Alex Sachs, that those complaints, those issues that these women had with Justin Baldoni personally might be admissible if the Wayfair parties wants to claim that Blake Lively turned all of the cast against him, as opposed to the cast having their own personal experiences with Justin Baldoni and not wanting to walk with him for their own reasons. And so in that case, if they want to argue that Blake Lively did some sort of nefarious, like poisoning everybody against Justin Baldoni, then those stories would be relevant.
Yeah, well, listen, possibly. I think that the other possibility is that a part of her complaint, look, we know that I think we can feel reasonably confident that the 17-point document is going to make it in. And in that 17-point document, there are there's at least one or two points that alludes to his behavior outside of what was going on with
like
Blake
don't
Lively.
talk about your porn addiction.
These kinds of things.
Don't pretend to speak to my dead father.
Correct.
All of these.
Yeah, so those kinds of things are going to get in,
behaviors.
but it's all going to be based on Blake Lively's perspective and not Isabel Farrar's perspective, and not Alex. Like Alex Sachs has, because when we talk about creating a hostile work environment, if him smacking the back of a fucking chair to the point where somebody feels physically intimidated by him, somebody who is the senior producer on the set at that moment, that's pretty substantial stuff to give to a jury. And I cannot, as a total fucking amateur, cannot see a pathway for that kind of evidence to make it in, because again, there's only 3 remaining claims. And of those 3, they're all retaliation. And the retaliation is contingent on them simply proving one thing, which is that she filed a complaint, that the complaint was in good faith. So they have to establish, I believe they have to establish those 2 things, but they certainly have to establish the first one, which is that she filed a complaint. And they're going to be able to do that because we know that Justin Baldoni admitted to her filing a complaint. We know that Jamie Heath admitted to her filing a complaint. We also know that Steven Sarowitz said that he heard about the problems on the set with Blake Lively. So he couldn't have heard about those were not for the fact that there were some complaints filed. Did I tell you that Deanne is here?
Yeah.
Okay. So glad to see you.
I got this news like an hour before we would have gone on yesterday.
Normally, yeah.
And I was actually really glad that we weren't covering it yesterday because I did have a better opportunity to prepare.
Yeah.
Because I would have just tried to like read the whole thing. And today I did also try to read the whole thing. But I would have tried to read the whole thing yesterday live. I don't think it would have been very enjoyable.
Yeah, All Scientists said, plus there's the Baldoni text where he acknowledged that the 17 points were protection against sexual harassment. Because what he did was he denied, the only thing he denied was that he denied agreeing with her categorization of her complaints. So all he said was, I didn't see it as sexual harassment, but she did. And he admitted to those complaints being filed in good faith or being.
He also admits that all of these things did happen, like especially the trailer incident with Jamie Heath.
Yeah.
Like nobody's refuting that she had a problem and she had a valid mistake, a valid complaint.
And the jury's going to hear that. The jury's going to hear that, this person came in, Jamie Heath, looked at her breasts after he told her to look away. After he entered the trailer after they told him not to enter.
Also, him showing her the home birth video, like Justin Baldoni admits in his deposition that they had a meeting, and he started off the meeting being like, "Yeah, it's my bad. I told Jamie Heath to go show that to you."
Yeah, I would expect.
But she hadn't even brought it up. Like Justin Baldoni is admitting to all these things. I just think that's got to be relevant.
I would expect that to go in relevant to her making a claim and a complaint, and so. Again, though, once they've established that she did complain and that the complaints were in good faith, which they're able to do, I think, quite easily because both sides agree. So with both sides agreeing, and, they can pretend that they didn't sign that document or that they signed that document under duress, and they can try to tell a jury and convince a jury that they signed that. But a jury is going to look at that signature, see those inks to paper and ink on paper, see that ink on paper and go, you know what? You fucking signed it. Mm-hmm. You fucking signed it, which means you acknowledged it. And if you acknowledge it, then the only thing they have to prove here, and this is why I think this trial has just been truncated in terms of length of time. This is, expect a short trial. I think this trial won't be more than a couple of weeks.
Well, there is going to be a ton of expert testimony about the damage done. And one thing that was really great about the judge's ruling is that the Wayfarer parties tried 4 different ways to constrain her ability to get damages.
Yeah.
Like the amount or whether she was even able to.
Yeah.
I don't fully understand all the different 4 ways. More with MJ. She mentioned it in her Threads post.
What did she mention?
The 4 different ways that they tried to constrain Blake Lively's ability to get damages, and none of them succeeded.
Yeah, I mean, none of that is surprising to me. There's no way the judge is going to put a cap on that.
So the ceiling is to infinity.
Yeah, but look, and listen, I think that there's a bit of an uphill battle. I don't know if it's an uphill battle. I'll say that jurors might have a tough time relating to the amount of money that they're talking. And so there's going to be a lot of conversation about how Steven Sarowitz is a billionaire and you can't, hand a billionaire damages that amount to a nickel out of his pocket and expect change.
That's true.
And to affect change. So the big pitch to the jury has to be, you have to hit him hard enough so that not just him, not just Steven Sarowitz, but that giant corporations and giant billionaires are deterred from allowing this kind of conduct on their set. So they have that, which is going to be decent. Let me see. We have a fan of the truth. Not a Justin Baldoni fan, but a fan of the truth. Blake wouldn't know the truth even if it hit her in the face. Well, you don't know the truth if it hit you in the face. You haven't read this case. You clearly have not read this case.
No Two Trolls is here.
I'm so glad to see you. No Two Trolls is here.
You're reading from Felicia Echeverria.
She's a liar. You are a Baldoni fan. You're lying.
Okay, but here's the thing.
That's my opinion is that you're not telling the truth. That you're not being forthright at all.
Being critical of whether somebody else knows the truth is really rich, coming from explicitly in a case where there has been a lot of money paid to media manipulation campaign.
Yeah.
Like they have been paying them every month to AstroTurf and trick people. And so it's just really, really important that you scrutinize the information that you're getting, because you are being manipulated, whether you've fallen for it or not. Everyone involved in following this case is being actively manipulated by the defendants and their PR machine. So it's like, maybe it's true that somebody else wouldn't know truth whether it hit them in the face, but it's really, really important that you also scrutinize the information you're getting, because it's probably a lie too. You can't just blindly, accept any of the information you're getting from their side.
Felicia's saying she read everything, and I don't believe it. I don't believe that you've read everything, and then you come here with this foul mouth shit. And it's foul what you're saying.
But don't get distracted by
No, I'm going to get distracted enough. I don't care. These people want to come. They want to throw down. I'm going to throw down. Look, you don't know anything about Blake Lively. The fact is that you're showing up here and you know nothing about this woman. You don't know about her propensity to tell a lie or to tell the truth. You know nothing about this woman. You just show up here with hatred.
I'll say this. Felicia says, I have read everything. Have you read everything with a discerning mind? Like, are you really scrutinizing what you're... Like,
clearly not.
Having just read everything doesn't say much about whether you're just blindly accepting the narrative they're putting forward. Like, we're in a fucking information war with this shit.
Yeah.
You're being victimized by people who are paid to victimize you in this information war.
Look, SC is saying, I'm hoping Blake's lawyers weren't blindsided by the ruling, because most of us thought that the SH claim was kind of weak. And I know it's the wrong jurisdiction, blah, 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 but you know what I mean. And I do know what you mean. And I'll tell you that I agree with you completely. And that's why 10 out of the 13 claims were SH, because they were trying to see what could stick. They were looking for something to stick. They weren't looking for things. There's no way that those attorneys expected all 13 claims to make it to the jury. I don't think for a second any lawyer would.
This, like, this is just. Do you recognize that as like a predictable tactic by attorneys, that they'll just like throw a bunch of
for sure
redundant claims, try to overlap them with different laws?
Every law they think can apply.
Yeah,
they're going to attach a claim to that in an attempt to get something to stick. And absolutely no attorney who's going to load it up is going to expect everything to stick, especially when you're dealing with something that has so much gray area. Like SH has a ton of gray area in it as it relates to the sort of legal enforcement of it, right? There's one thing to complain about it, right? I go and I call a chick Toots, right? I'm like at the office and I'm like, hey, Toots, get me a cup of coffee. And then that's a complaint. That's not a litigious complaint, but it is a legitimate SH complaint, right? We can agree on that, right? My ex used to work for a woman who called her Tits because she had big breasts. And so she would be like, Tits, get me another cup of coffee, Tits. And she would just call her Tits the whole fucking time. Every time she said that, she was sexually harassing her.
Yes, I know. She could have sued her for it a million times.
Well, I mean, but you say that, and then on the other hand, I would say that taking that to a jury is a waste of everybody's time, because even though a jury will likely find, they're probably not going to find a great deal of damages because somebody's calling you Tits. There'll be maybe something of a reprimand, but nothing that's going to amount to anything. And again, just to to cite Blake Lively again, Blake Lively said, I would never have filed a lawsuit in this case were it not for the retaliation.
I also feel like, obviously, I've seen some people post on social media today about how they're really sad about this judge's ruling, about just the concept that you can be sexually harassed by your employer.
I'm so sad.
And it can go all the way to a federal judge and get thrown out because there isn't a law that protects you if you happen to be sexually harassed in a workplace in a state that doesn't protect you.
Yeah.
Like California protects her, but she wasn't in California at the time.
No.
It's just like, so that's super sad. And obviously the laws should change because that shouldn't be acceptable.
It should be unacceptable. So I just want to share with people
I just wasn't finished.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
But I will say that it is extremely clarifying when you think about the jury and how the jury is going to be presented a case now that's just going to be a lot more clear and a lot easier to decide. I think that that's a really big win. Like, for instance, we did a whole breakdown video of the dancing scene, the behind the scenes of the dancing scene. Are you with me?
I am.
Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of people who watched the same footage that we did. I thought that footage made very much showed what she was complaining about. Other people saw that same footage and said that they thought she was off her ass, and they thought it supported Justin Baldoni's version of the events. And I just feel like it's tricky to put something like that in front of a jury.
It is.
And try and get them to not, to place aside their own biases about what they would accept and what they wouldn't accept in a workplace.
Shout out to Tanner who just showed up. What's up, buddy?
Oh, sweet.
And more to that point, I think that her lawyers have an easier job in front of them now, because I'll say this: if you put a bunch of weak ass SH claims, and you can call them what they want, you can use the words weak ass, or you can just say weak, or you could say, whatever. Her SH claims, they were what they were the abundance of them was the biggest problem. The degree of them was relatively speaking minor.
I completely disagree with you. I never thought that these SH claims were weak ass. I thought that she was absolutely fucking bombarded on that set by men who were completely out of line most of the fucking time.
Yeah, no, that's
it's
fair.
Crazy she didn't walk off and be like, fuck all of you, I don't care what happens to your film.
Well, look, that's fair.
She would have been justified in my perspective.
Okay, well, that's fair. And obviously you're entitled to it. I personally wouldn't. And I'm going to side with Blake Lively on this and say that none of them, even as a collection of them, were worth a multi-million-dollar massive trial. That's my personal opinion.
Oh, when she said I would have just moved on with my life.
Yes,
that made sense to you.
Yes, and here's what I'm trying to say. More to this point, right? Because here we are, we're two jurors, right? That's what we are. We're just
yeah, because we're not experts,
sure.
Right?
So as two jurors, right, if I'm sitting there listening to these sexual harassment, well, maybe not me, but to convince 12, I don't know what the...
Maybe not you, why? Because you're a filmmaker?
No, just because I find everything he did so fucking offensive. And you're going to find people like me on the jury as well.
Yeah.
But let me finish.
What do you mean he told her he was circumcised?
Let me finish.
What do you fucking mean that happened?
Which the jury is not going to hear. This jury will not hear that.
Maybe they will.
I doubt
MJ
it.
the lawyer assumes that they will be hearing what the sexual harassment, what the 17 points were actually about.
So let me finish my point. My point is that the job they had ahead of them was to convince everybody that they would have had to convince the jurors each juror's satisfaction that these claims were worth her trouble, that they were severe enough on the degree of sexual harassment. And I think that's an uphill battle in this case. Personally, I think that's an uphill battle. I don't think that the harassment that he laid down. I've heard like I said, I literally watched as my partner at the time was called tits. And where every woman who had any kind of remotely good figure was sexualized by this woman. And never once was she ever even accused of sexual harassment. And that doesn't make it right what she did. But what it does tell us, what it does tell me, is that it's not so cut and dry for people. Look, man, we have juries fucking convicting people for murder for fucking a sandwich they didn't even make. So attempted murder for a sandwich they didn't even make. We can't
You're talking about the Corey Richins trial that we just covered.
Yeah, to try and imagine that 12 jurors are going to side with Blake Lively on these SH claims, I think is more difficult for them than it is for them to prove that she filed complaints and that they retaliated as a result of filing those complaints.
Listen, I will disagree that it's a good example to use of a female employer sexualizing her female employee because right then it's like that's discrimination based on gender that is much harder to prove. This one, in this case, all of the targets of the harassment on the set.
Yeah, it was a growling, horny guy.
Male people in leadership against female people that were either in lateral or below them in the hierarchy.
Yeah.
Right? It's like all of it. It was so gendered the entire time. And so this is why I'm saying that your example doesn't really work.
Felicia,
are you getting distracted?
I'm just going to deal with this comment before we get going. Look, listen, this is my personal feeling about this. I think that they have an easier job ahead of them now because they don't have to prove whether or not the sexual harassment mattered. All they have to do is prove that she complained about it, that she complained about it in good faith because she believed she was being harassed. That's all she has to do now.
Justin Baldoni's deposition is such a fuck up for him because
it's a mess.
They're going to play his answer for why he decided that he needed to build up this scheme where he was going to react to whatever she said publicly.
Well, they're also going to...
He very much clearly says, that it was out of retaliation.
And
he doesn't use those words, obviously.
Yeah.
He justifies it because he was scared or he felt lonely or whatever the fuck justification.
She's going to have to answer to, in front of a jury, he's going to have to answer, what did you mean when you said, or either that or Jen Abel is going to have to answer, what specifically did you mean when you said he wants to know you can bury her? Mm-hmm. What did you mean by that? And here's what we do know already through all this pretrial shit, which is that they said, yeah, we were gearing up for it, but we never did it. We were just gearing up for it, but she did it all on her own. That bitch hung her own fucking neck. And we know that they're going to have forensics showing a complete drop off of a cliff from her reputation pre their threat, which they have in writing, to post. And I think that's going to be their biggest uphill battle. But anyway, Felicia, or forgive me if I've gotten your name wrong. I'm bad at names. She said, I worked for 2 chairmen of the boards. Well, that's impressive. One of them was chairman of Warner Brothers. Wow. I've spent 17 years in the media. Okay. And I know how to read and critically think. Well, congratulations. I think you're missing your critical thinking skills on this one in a major way. I think you're missing it as widely as you can. You know, I think if you thought critically and then you show up saying the things that you said, I don't think you're very much of a critical thinker. If you show up here and say she wouldn't know the truth if it slapped her in the face, then I don't think you're a critical thinker at all, because I don't think a critical thinker would even speak like that. A good critical thinker. That's my personal opinion. So I think maybe you should pick up the barbells. Also, start working out your critical thinking skills again, because they suck right now.
You just cannot disregard the fact that, number one, Justin Baldoni's entire lawsuit was thrown out for lack of evidence. None of the evidence he provided supported his claims.
And in which the judge stated very clearly that there appears to be strong evidence supporting retaliation.
Yes.
Including,
and also, number two, that he hired a PR firm to change your opinion on the internet. You know,
and it worked.
You're
so much of a critical thinker
being manipulated.
Yeah, you're so much of a critical thinker that you're not even paying attention to the absolute onslaught of horrible media that you're just consuming, evidently, and eating up like it's fucking pudding made specially for you.
But it'll all be litigated, so you'll get to see how it plays out in court. Luckily,
True that.
You know, that's what we get to do now.
Yeah, look, we don't know what's going to happen in the court. I think she should win. I think she should win easily. I've said that from the beginning. I've said from the very beginning that this case is centered around retaliation. I said that not because I'm a smart guy or because I'm such a critical thinker. I'm just somebody who can listen to what they're saying. And when Blake Lively herself said that the sexual harassment wouldn't have amounted to a lawsuit, it was only when she discovered that they had pitted the press against her that she knew she had to do something about it. So, I don't know, man. You call yourself a critical thinker, but you seem to be falling wildly short of critical thinking in this stage in your observations. Personally, that's my personal opinion.
Let's hear from the rest of the chat.
Yeah, let's do it.
Erica Ridehome says, retaliation is still the biggest problem for JB. And what I always thought was the worst.
Of course. Well, it's also where all the damages exist. You're not going to get a shitload of damages out of sexual harassment, punitive or otherwise. But you're going to get a shitload of damages if his retaliation, if they can prove his retaliation cost her tens of millions or whatever it is in lost opportunities.
Also, Delicate says retaliation was always the strongest claim. That's why the judge is allowing it to move forward. A Scientist says it's disappointing as the decision was from a workplace rights perspective. On reflection, I think not having the SH claims may make winning on retaliation easier for Lively.
So we agree on that. Yeah, I do think that there's that strong, very strong possibility, because again, they don't have to try to convince a jury that her because it's a very subjective thing, sexual harassment, or the response to it, the severity of it, unless it's obvious, you're smacking, people on their butts and, whatever, you're calling them tits, when it becomes that egregious, it's a little easier. But in this case, he was like calling her sexy and he shouldn't have. And, he
states that he shouldn't have. He states that in the moment he thought,
tape.
I shouldn't have said that.
It's on tape. It's on fucking tape.
So he knows he shouldn't have said it.
Yeah, he knows he shouldn't have said that.
Archival Raccoon says she has great lawyers. They would have told her that the SH claims are hard to prove, and she knew.
Yeah, for sure.
A Scientist says retaliation was also always the highest potential damages payout. And Lyman explicitly said that Wayfair can't use the ALA to limit their liability.
That's right. I don't know what the ALA is.
We're gonna talk about why that's the actor's loan out agreement, and why she sued on the basis of a contract dispute in the actor's loan out agreement, saying that they can't sexually harass her and they can't retaliate. But the actor's loan out agreement has been nulled by the judge. They had been fighting about whether it was valid or not, and he just.
It's interesting that her not signing it kind of came back to bite her in this one.
Yes, but today was the first day reading the judge's ruling was the first day that I actually got some clarity. And, forgive me, but I haven't been reading all of their arguments back and forth, so I probably could have discovered this earlier. But today I got some clarity about why she didn't sign it. And I didn't know that it was because she put protective provisions in there and they refused to accept them. I didn't know that. I thought it was because she didn't want to, that at the time that they were arguing about her signing the actor's loan out agreement, Jamie Heath was leveraging it. She wanted to get more days in the editing room, and he was like, I just need your signature first. And she was like, no. And I really thought for the longest time that it was because she was working as a producer and wanted to claim producer credit. And her actor's loan out agreement had provisions that she was an executive producer, and she didn't want to get, I thought that she didn't want to get narrowed into that role solely. She wanted to get a producer credit because she was doing producer work. But apparently there was a bigger reason. And that's because she had protection clauses added to it, and they didn't agree.
John Farm said that he disagrees about the damages. His sexual harassment claim. He had one lawyer. He got 6 figures, and it was a minimum wage job. Is that what you were saying there? Mine was 6 figures working for minimum wage. Yeah, and one lawyer. Hers are going to be 20 lawyers, 3x. Yeah. Well, look. We can definitely, I guess we can, sort of go back and forth on whether or not I think it's relative. And I think relatively speaking, her sexual harassment claim wasn't going to yield a lot for her. That's just a personal opinion. It's not one founded in any kind of experience. Your experience certainly would outweigh mine in that matter. But I think it's reasonable to assume that the real hit here is on the retaliation, because the retaliation was about destroying her career. So it's one thing to have punitives because she was harassed, felt uncomfortable in the workplace, so on and so forth. But there was another fucking argument that they could make in their defense is, and they tried to make it, in all this pretrial stuff, which is that, hey, look, she made her complaints. We saw the complaints. We signed an agreement. And after we signed the agreement, everything was satisfied. So if a jury were to decide that because she moved forward after the signature, then that was remedied to her satisfaction, I think that's a plausible scenario for a jury to come to.
This is another reason why I feel like this clarity in the case is so good for her.
Yeah.
Because that was something that they really could dig into, where she agreed that everything was good and they had moved on. So why is it now an issue?
Yeah.
Well, now it's no longer an issue. So now it's like what happened after was their retaliation against her for speaking out and demanding a safe set. This is interesting. Can I get back to the chat? Mm-hmm. Delicate said, California is one of the few states that protects independent contractors. Most states don't. Erica Rydholm said, it is absolutely crazy that independent contractors can be harassed with no recourse whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, John Farm said that it doesn't matter what he did, he couldn't be held accountable, and that's not entirely true. I mean, obviously there are lines that can be crossed that turn it into assault. There are lines that, there's a level of, probably egregiousness that...
Yeah, but then it would be like criminal charges, right?
Yeah, possibly, but certainly litigious on top of it, at the very least. So I don't know that that's true, that there's nothing they could have done. But yeah, ostensibly, it appears at least that independent contractors in some states, you can just go and say whatever you want and treat them however you want without recourse. And that's, this country is just a mess in this way. I mean, it's just a mess. I mean, it just seems like such a basic thing to protect people's,
This is interesting. Our scientist said that New Jersey does have protections for independent contractors, but Blake Lively's attorneys didn't cite it. They probably didn't use it in order to not complicate California for the retaliation. California has the best protection against retaliation.
So they didn't. Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense.
That's really interesting.
I like that.
Makes sense.
Strategically, that makes a lot of sense, actually. If they've got the better set of laws for retaliation, it also goes to the point where retaliation was obviously the motivation, or not the motivation. The primary objective here was to get them, on the hook for retaliation.
Deanne says, and here's what the court actually said about Miss Lively's sexual harassment claims.
Yeah.
In quotes, a person in her position could have understood the workplace to at times reflect a gendered and sexualized view of women and a disregard for their privacy sufficient to make it reasonable to complain about a hostile work environment based on sex or gender. I'm
kind of confused by that.
No, the court is acknowledging that she had sexual harassment claims.
Yeah.
That there were reasonable sexual harassment claims. It's just a fucking jurisdiction got her again. It's why she lost her claims against Jed Wallace in New York. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you're right. Chuck Farm. But it is no possible way to, in some states and certainly federally, to hold accountable someone sexually harassing their independent contractor.
Oh,
it's fucked up, man.
Deanne said, as a lawyer, I disagree with you, Dale.
Okay.
I do not agree with you. I think all of the witnesses will be called, but she needs to show the complaint was in good faith.
I don't understand how you think that they're going to be able to bring up Isabella Ferrar on a retaliation case.
Deanne said the witnesses prove she had valid reasons to complain. Also, the defense may call them.
Well, if the defense calls them, that might be a different story. I can't imagine why they would want to do that. But, and look, you are a lawyer, and so, I'll defer to you as far as, you have the advantage.
This is interesting, too.
But to me, their testimony doesn't prove that she was retaliated against.
No, I know, but
and her complaints are already are going to be proven going in. So I don't know that a judge is going to allow that.
It goes to prove reasonableness. You need to show a reasonable person would consider it reasonable. The other accounts go to reasonableness. They are relevant.
Yeah, but if you already have the plaintiff agreeing it happened. Like I don't think the judge is going to allow it because the plaintiff already agrees it happened. I'm sorry, the defendant. The defendant already agrees it happened.
Yeah.
They signed a 17-point agreement.
Yeah, plus there's Baldoni's text message where he acknowledges the 17 points were protection against his SH.
I don't see a judge. Listen, I'll say this. Unless the defense wants it, and if the defense wants it, fucking Gottlieb's going to be like licking his fingers. But if the defense doesn't want it, I'm not a fucking attorney, and people have said some really cruel things about the fact that I have legal opinions without being an attorney. Oddly, online, it is what it is.
Online of all places, like this isn't.
Yeah, people are like telling me like I'm a 2 out of 10 with my legal mind or whatever, and I'm like I'm a fucking entertainer. But I'll say that in my very humble opinion, unless there needs to be some kind of unless they're trying to argue, unless they try to argue. Meaning the defense, unless they try to argue that there was no SH on the set and that her complaints that she never complained, then I think she'll have an opportunity to potentially call it. But I personally think that they have enough evidence on the record now to prove that she made claims, and that's all they're going to have to prove in order for retaliation to be to be like they don't have to go beyond. There's nothing beyond. Like there's no degree of complaint that matters here.
A scientist agrees with you. Also, now the jury doesn't need to decide whether the SH was in quotes bad enough to count for damages.
There's no severity here. This is about whether or not she complained. That's it.
A scientist says now they just need to decide whether their boss could destroy their reputation.
Correct.
For complaining about their boss barging in on them while they are mostly naked.
Yeah, I mean, even if, and he does, Justin Baldoni, even if they disagree with the categorization of sexual harassment, that does not mean she didn't complain.
A scientist said Wayfair didn't deny the incidents happened. They just think that she shouldn't complain about it.
That's exactly right. And what they're going to be able to prove beyond any doubt, in my opinion, is that they thought that there was some bad storm coming for them when it got out that the guy who, you see, here's the thing that they're in real trouble with. He Justin Baldoni and Wayfair ultimately, they put their image out there as these protector of women, as these men who were out to although not to use a word Justin Baldoni doesn't like because he doesn't think it's fair, but they wanted to end toxic masculinity, correct? Mm-hmm. Like that was their whole fucking pitch to the world. That's what they were. The good guys. They were the good guys. So listen, Dion, you might be right. And we're going to find out, obviously. But I personally don't think that there's a hope in hell that you're going to get Isabella Ferrar on the stand or Alex Sachs on the stand because you don't have to prove a hostile work environment. Because there's nothing there's nothing on the claims
This is how
that need it.
This conversation in the chat is exactly how I think that those other witnesses are going to be brought in. SC mentioned it. Deanne says, how can you assess she was reasonable in complaining if you don't know what she was complaining about? It's wrong to say the complaints are no longer relevant. They just have to show she complained and it was reasonable. The nature of the complaints go to reasonableness. And SC said, Baldoni kicked the smear campaign into high gear because he thought the actor revolt against him was started by Blake and it would look bad in the media. And so that's the way I think that this is going to come. The way that it's relevant is that Jenny Slate didn't want to walk with Baldoni herself. She didn't need Blake to convince her because she had a bad experience with Baldoni. Colleen Hoover didn't want to walk with Baldoni herself. Not that Blake had to convince her because she had a bad experience with Baldoni and Heath.
Well, listen, if they're stupid enough, if the defense is stupid enough, and this is where I think I don't think that the plaintiff is going to get this in. I think if the defense is stupid enough to say, "Oh, Blake Lively contaminated the cast against Justin Baldoni," but again, they can't justify retaliation. So, you're talking about them ultimately trying to justify retaliation, and there's no such thing. They can't justify retaliation.
No, it's true.
There's no way that they're going to be able to get away with justifying retaliation and not get a judgment against them.
If they tried to tell a jury that she poisoned the entire cast against Justin Baldoni because she had
then they're making excuses
some sort of like megalomania, some fucking like Machiavellian fucking purposes or something that they haven't yet quite discerned or explained.
Right.
Then they could call those witnesses easy.
The defense will still argue she stole the movie to show bad faith for the complaint. But they already have a record of them agreeing about the complaint. Again, who
said that?
This is Deanne. So Deanne said the defense will have to argue that she stole the movie to show bad faith for the complaint. I mean, first of all, they have to know they have nothing there. But even if they had something that they thought they could hang a hat on, none of that is relevant to the case, to what's left of the case. All that's left of the case is that she complained and they retaliated. That's it. It doesn't matter what she complained about. It doesn't even matter what she complained about because sexual harassment isn't even on the fucking table. She could have complained about something completely not related to sexual harassment and retaliation still be on the table. This is about them retaliating to her complaints. So all they have to prove is that she complained. That's it. They don't have to complain. They don't even have to, I don't even think they have to prove that the complaints were reasonable or in good faith, because all that matters is whether or not they retaliated as a result of the complaints. So all they have to tie together is that she complained and that they retaliated because she complained.
Yes. And
that's it. It doesn't matter what the complaints were. It doesn't matter if she complained that there weren't fucking green Skittles in the Skittle dish. It doesn't matter. What matters is whether or not they retaliated as a result of those complaints. So now what the plaintiff is going to do is they're going to say, well, why did he retaliate? And for that reason, they're going to explain that the complaints were of a sexual nature, of sexual harassing nature, and that those complaints would damage his reputation.
Yeah.
So those things are going to be relevant, obviously.
His explanation for why he started the smear campaign, right? Even though he says it wasn't actually executed. All that was organic, but still,
right.
You're still held liable for wanting to ruin somebody and paying somebody to ruin them, which is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
But he said that he started it because she unfollowed him on social media. How do you think that's going to land with the jury?
You have to repeat it again because I kind of got lost with a comment. But go ahead, say it again, please. Would you mind?
How do you think so he said that he started the smear campaign because Ryan Reynolds unfollowed him on social media. That's one of the reasons he gives. He was so paranoid that everybody was going to make a big deal out of it.
Yeah.
That he started a big deal.
Well, he didn't say that that's why he retaliated, but he said that was some kind of an offense to him.
Yeah. I mean, like, what provoked his paranoia? There's several things that Justin Baldoni cites.
Well, this is kind of the problem that I think he runs into, because there's loads of stuff in his deposition where he is expressing threat.
Yes.
A threat to him.
That he perceives.
That he was under attack.
Or that he was lied to about.
Yeah.
Like Melissa Nathan straight up lied to him. He learned in his deposition about how she lied. Straight to his face about whether Blake Lively was trying to attack him in the press.
And the other thing you can do is, like, I think at the most you're going to get is the same thing you had in the Amber Heard trial with her cronies who got their little fucking 2 seconds of fucking fame when their deposition. I think the most you'll get, if anything at all, will be depositions, because they have the recorded depositions of all these deponents. So I think the most you're going to see in the trial. So for example, if they try to claim something like she tried to coerce the rest of the staff or the rest of the cast or whatever against him, then there might be excerpts of the depositions of these people where they're expressing their personal experience with Justin Baldoni. So to the extent that, again, only in the idea that these guys are dumb enough, and they might be, to try to introduce a concept around, but again, if they're trying to justify retaliation, they're fucked. Like you can't, in the same way that, sexual harassment does not matter in this trial anymore. It has no foundation in this trial beyond the fact that it as an item was the motivation behind the retaliation, right? Because rumors of sexual harassment out in the world would destroy the image that they've been building, which was this image of being the great protectors of feminism. Well, that's the only relevance there. So I just don't think that there's a hope in hell. Well, listen, again, if these guys are stupid enough to try and build a defense that justifies the retaliation, they're just fucking hanging themselves.
Deanne said the defense will still argue that she stole the movie to show bad faith for the complaint.
They're not going to do that. They're just not going to do that because, first of all, they cannot prove that, and they know they can't prove that, especially because
it's going to make them look so bad.
I mean, it's so bad. I mean, we read the depositions, bro. Who owns the movie? We do. Who got the profit from the movie? We did. Like, what
did she steal?
They're going to be able to show a jury the directed by, a film by credit on the trailer with Justin Baldoni's name under it, so they're not going to be able to prove any of that. And I think they know they can't prove any of that. I think they're not as dumb as they appear because they appear dumb in order to be able to, this being, of course, Justin Baldoni's legal team, they appear dumb in order to continue the slander campaign that they've been hiding, that they've been doing under the guise of their legal work. But that's it. They're smarter than that.
Hanada said, hi, Hanada.
Hanada's in the house.
Hanada said, Baldoni fans are saying if she can't prove, they've always been saying, right? If she can't prove SH, she can't win retaliation. And that was always false. Now she doesn't have to prove it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. She doesn't have to prove sexual harassment. That is off the table.
Hanada said that was always the case for retaliation. And Deanne said, and that she complained in good faith. Hanada said she had to prove she complained and that she complained in good faith. The trial just became clear for a juror.
It did.
Baldoni won't be able to muddy the waters.
He can't muddy the waters now. He can't pretend that she was making false claims because they don't matter. It doesn't matter. All that matters is, did she complain? The answer is yes. Now all that matters is, did they retaliate as a result of those complaints or for those complaints? And the answer is going to be yes, I believe. And then that's going to be hopefully a massive judgment against them in order to deter such things from happening in the future. And that's really what this is about. And I think that Gottlieb et al. Are going to do a really great job at saying, look, Blake Lively's not here for money. She's got all of it that she needs for the rest of her life and her kids' lives and their kids' lives. They have generational wealth. This isn't about wealth. This is about stopping an egregious behavior that ruins people's lives and ruins their right to commerce and ruins their and destroys their right to the kind of work that they want.
I agree with you. I think that this entire thing is the lawyers are going to frame this for the jury in the context of Me Too. What did we all learn after the Me Too movement in 2017?
I think you're right.
Is that if you see something, you say something. If you see bad behavior happening in a workplace, you report it, you speak up. You don't let these people just continue to abuse people in the darkness. Right?
Yes.
And that is exactly what we're all supposed to do. And that is what Lively did. She did everything right. Deanne said that all that they're going to have to prove are 4 things. Number 1, did she complain? Number 2, was the complaint in good faith?
Yes.
Number 3, did they retaliate? And number 4, was she harmed? And what are the quantum of the damages?
Yeah, right. Now, just to come to that second part was it in good faith? See, they don't have, and this is why I don't think a judge is going to let any other witness in, because they can prove that it was in good faith with her own complaints.
Yeah, that's true.
And look, that includes, by the way, the incident in the trailer. That's obviously going to include the moment where she's in the jumpsuit or in the onesie, I should say, right? And maybe even the circumcision. Those kinds of conversations are going to make it to the jury in order to be able to prove that she made these complaints in good faith. And the cool bit about this for Gottlieb is that he gets to stand in front of a jury. He goes, it doesn't matter whether or not her complaints were about severe actions against her. It doesn't matter. What matters is that they decided that these complaints were a serious threat to them. And in order for them to, and their response was to retaliate. Their response was to go out ahead of these things, which he says literally in his fucking deposition. Justin Baldoni literally says in his deposition, we were trying to get ahead of the
I can't
rumors.
believe he's such a bonehead. He couldn't even.
So that deposition is devastating for them in a retaliation case.
Oh, man.
So yes, I'm fucking thoroughly disappointed, guys. I'm not going to lie, dude. I've been in a funk all fucking day. Look at these cards I pulled. You're not going to believe this about this. So the first one I pulled is a reverse nine of wands, and nine of cups. And a reverse nine of cups is wishes that don't come true, basically. And in order to understand what wishes might not come true, you have to go look at the supporting card. And the supporting card was reverse justice. It was reverse fucking justice. It's just, I couldn't.
What does that mean?
So reverse justice means no justice will be. You won't see justice for what you think is unfair. What you think is fair is not fair. What you think is unfair is going to be fair. So it's injustice and or a lack of justice being served, and with a lack of justice being served, one of the cool parts about this card, contextually, is that it's temporary. It's never it's not meant as some kind of, you're permanently living in injustice, but that in this moment, relative to this card, which is really just about like the funk I've been in all day, which is obviously about this, because I think it's terrible. On the one hand, I do think it's terrible because the one thing that gets shelved here is sexual harassment. But if the judgment is substantial, then, it's rice paper from here on in for the others.
Super interesting about those cards is that reading applies to both parties of the case.
It does.
It applies to Lively's side and Baldoni's side. He didn't get what he wanted either. He wanted
a summary judgment on all of it.
Or at least for damages to be capped.
Yeah, he wanted it all thrown out. He wanted to see what happened to him happen to her, and it didn't. And that's the other thing, when Baldoni fans are out there fucking honking their horns in the streets, his entire case was thrown out. And 10 of the 13 claims were thrown out by Judge Lyman, and all 10 of them were sexual harassment. So it's nonsense.
Dan said, read Gottlieb's statement to the press. It's great. I've saved a bunch of these to read.
Yeah, did you read Freeman's? Oh,
Friedman is his name.
Yeah, whatever. A fucking asshole is his real name. Fucking, this guy, by the way, who I love it when these Baldoni fans show up here and they're all fucking, up in arms. Oh, I fucking believe Justin. The guy they're cheering for is an incredibly accused sexual assailant. He's a predator, an alleged predator. This is all for entertainment purposes. We're just here to have fun and talk about people's troubles.
Okay, in a statement, Sigrid McCauley, a lawyer for Lively, said the case has, in quotes, always been and will remain focused on the devastating retaliation and the extraordinary steps the defendants took to destroy Blake Lively's reputation because she stood up for safety on the set. For Blake Lively, the greatest measure of justice is that the people and the playbook behind these coordinated digital attacks have been exposed and are already being held accountable by other women that they've targeted.
Here's Gottlieb's full statement. It is completely unsurprising that Brian Friedman does not understand the court's actual ruling. He didn't even argue the summary judgment motion he's now spinning. Which I hope people understand what that means.
That's delightful. He's like, this dummy
had to bring in another law firm for trial, and just last week was reprimanded by the court for having filed legally frivolous claims. Mm-hmm. What the court actually decided yesterday is that Blake Lively provided evidence to go to trial on her core claims, that she spoke out against what she believed was sexual harassment on the set and suffered retaliation that harmed her reputation as a result. The court held in painstaking detail that Miss Lively provided sufficient evidence of all of the following. 1, she privately opposed and negotiated changes to on-set behavior by Justin Baldoni and Jamie Heath, which that's what I'm saying. Like, that's just devastating, bro. That 17-point document, and not only that, but here's what's devastating. The thing that they get all puffy about in their fucking depositions, you know what? There was never a complaint after that. Oh, really? Do you see the fucking line that's been drawn, you stupid idiot?
Yeah.
After they fucking put everything in place, you guys walked the straight line.
Took you long enough.
You weren't walking a straight line before.
That's
You're
right.
mentioning the contrast in your own fucking statements, you fool. Yeah. Number 2, She reasonably believed in good faith that the behavior she complained about privately was unlawful sexual harassment. And that's going to be easy to prove. That's just going to be easy to prove. Number 3, Baldoni, because they say it in their own fucking deposition. They're asked literally, do you believe Blake Lively's complaints were in good faith? I'm paraphrasing. Answer, they were in good faith. They're fucking, they literally put the noose around their neck and tightened it all up. Number 3, Baldoni, Heath, and Wayfarer Studios understood that her claims amounted to sexual harassment allegations, fact, and because they deny them, you know, they have in depositions, Justin Baldoni saying that he disagrees that they were sexual harassment. So he already knows that they're framed up as sexual harassment because he's disagreeing about that. You can't disagree about something
he also
that
said
hasn't been framed.
In a text message about the 17 points, he was like, all of this is because she felt that I made her feel unsafe and that she felt sexually harassed. I'm paraphrasing too.
Yeah.
He uses those words.
Hoisted by his own petard. So number 4, they crossed the line in response and took steps that harmed her reputation and career. And here is what the court actually said about Miss Lively's sexual harassment claims. Quote, a person in her position could have understood the workplace to at times reflect a gendered and sexualized view of women and a disregard for their privacy sufficient to make it reasonable, to complain about a hostile work environment based on sex or gender. So we've heard that already today here on the live, but there it is quoted by her attorneys. These claims have always been the beating heart of Miss Lively's case. They are why she filed her lawsuit. I mean, these people are just absent-minded, dude. They're absent-minded. They show up here. Some guy fucking showed up on one of our comments. He deleted it right away. But, you know, I got the notification and he called me a coward. He called me a moron and a coward because, and then another person showed up and asked me why, because they,
you said because we didn't go live
because we didn't go live yesterday. Because they were like, oh yeah, you fucking scared. You got your thumb in your mouth. You curled up in a fucking fetal position.
Exactly.
Look, I'm sad that
totally
sexual harassment isn't going forward. I'm sad about it. But I don't for a second believe that, look, if he'd have thrown out the whole case today, I might not have gone live.
It's also a really, really, it's very telling that people are celebrating that. Like, yay,
it's very telling.
The dude that I've been supporting for sexually harassing his employees and coworkers is going to get away with it.
And because of yesterday's decision, all of those claims will be heard by the jury. The court's ruling that Ms. Lively's state and federal harassment claims could not go to trial was about legal issues rather than an endorsement of the defendant's conduct, which is like what Brian Friedman's statement amounted to. He was just, it was disgusting. The court held that Ms. Lively's sexual harassment claims could not go to a jury because Ms. Lively did not sign a contract, that she is an independent contractor instead of an employee, and that the offense conduct occurred in New Jersey instead of California. The fact that Brian Friedman is claiming exoneration based on legal technicalities while facing trial next month tells you everything that you need to know. We're looking forward to trial on May 18th.
Yeah.
Me too. I mean, it's just so crazy that he's doing a victory lap when he's literally going to be in a courtroom in less than 6 fucking weeks answering to these fucking charges, bro. So it's a level of stupidity that is profound, but it shows you what they're doing. Because you have these now they got these fucking marching soldiers, all these fucking idiots who claim to have critical thinking skills or whatever it is, but they can't critically think themselves out of the fact that they're going to see this man on trial on May 18th.
I actually thought it was so delightful to see Gottlieb, because he's usually so measured and professional, but that he opens up his statement being like, not surprised this guy's too much of a dumbass to understand what's happening.
I love it.
And he called Friedman stupid. It's basically, I just thought that was really delightful. I was like, oh, Gottlieb is joining us down here in the gutter. That's great.
Right. And that is right. The judge already ruled, or, basically he ruled that she made the claims in good faith.
Yeah.
That's why we're going to trial. We're only going to trial because of that.
And the judge ruled that because nobody is disputing it. I saved this for you too. There's the spokesperson for WME.
I am very
spoke up,
moved about all this emotionally.
Okay, so check this out.
I'm listening.
So the talent agency that represents Blake Lively and formerly represented Justin Baldoni put out this statement. Okay.
Yeah.
In an industry that too often asks women to absorb the damage and stay quiet, Blake Lively chose to stand up for herself, her castmates, and those without the ability to fight back.
Yeah.
She has met this moment with courage, moral clarity, and extraordinary determination.
Yeah.
Even as others have tried to turn this case into a spectacle. Sorry, my bad.
I mean, not you. It's not you. It's definitely Brian Friedman.
Even as others have tried to turn this case into a spectacle, she has kept the focus where it belongs, on facts, accountability, and the right to speak up without fear of retaliation. In doing so, she has helped expose the devastating harm caused by covert digital takedown campaigns designed to intimidate, discredit, and drown out the truth. She and her family have our full support as this case moves to trial.
You know, listen to me. I'm very emotional about this. I wish I could get the kind of support she's gotten. Because, you know, and I mean, look, I mean, they love their big stars in Hollywood, and they certainly turned their back on me. But I love that they haven't turned their back on her in any way. And I love that this is, you know, this is the sentiment of Hollywood, Hollywood's perspective of this whole thing. Justin Baldoni completely burned to the ground, the greatest opportunity of his life. He completely burned to ground a talent that he has. Justin Baldoni is a talented kid, man. This guy can act his nuts off. I guess that's inappropriate for the conversation. He can act, and he can act well. And this guy can direct, even if he's directing by proxy. And by directing by proxy brings its own value, because they're like, think Libra. They sit there and they fucking weigh this and weigh that, and then go, oh, this guy says this is a better idea, and this guy over here says that it's a better idea, and this person behind me says that's a better idea. We're going to go with this one. And you know, people with strong ability with a strong ability to weigh the things around them and then make decisions to go forward can often be some of the best directors in Hollywood. It's a part of why the film by credit always drives me completely fucking crazy, because he does appear to be, on the surface, a director by proxy. So he's a director who sits around and weighs the first AD's opinion, the DP, the actor, his own, and brings it all into perspective. You know, producer.
Yeah, he was bragging about that as a skill.
It's a great skill. It's not
skill
something
for collaboration in all of the promo interviews that he was doing before the film was released.
So here was Brian Friedman's statement, which I quickly downvoted. But here's a statement. In a statement, Friedman said, "Since the first day of this case, when Justin and the other defendants were blindsided by these allegations, the legal team on the ground from the beginning have worked I should stop.
Yeah, I can't even understand it.
Fucking around. Since the first day of this case, when Justin and the other defendants were blindsided by these allegations, the legal team on the ground from the beginning have worked extremely long days and nights." That sounds like billing. "Defending this case through transparency by releasing the actual truthful text messages and by welcoming which they were, by the way, just admonished for, not that specifically, but for their deceptive practices, right? Defending this case through transparency by releasing the actual truthful text messages and by welcoming and facilitating the release of all documents exhibiting the truth." And then he didn't end there, says the poster. Freeman went on to say, "The defendants were not afraid of the truth. The plan was not only to speak the truth, but to also show that the same truth over and over again through the presentation of actual evidence. Neither Justin Baldoni, Jamie Heath, nor any of the other defendants have engaged in sexual harassment of Blake Lively." And none of that has been proven. Literally none of that has been proven.
They admit.
It wouldn't even be the judge's job to prove it. Despite our clients being accused of DARVO, deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender, and by the way, you expect that expert to take the stand.
It's cute that he's trying to own it.
Attack, reverse, in defending these claims, and despite our client being referred to in writing as a predator, he is. What I said on behalf of our client day one and every day since then is true. Our clients are very good people who have not engaged in sexual harassment as alleged. As such, they have deserved the vigorous defense which led through transparency. You know what's funny about nothing in his statement? Nothing in his statement says that they did not retaliate. Not one thing did he say in here that says that there was no retaliation. What he does end it with is, "It is gratifying to see that the court's ruling confirms what the legal team believed from day one," and that's not true. All this guy does is mislead people. And I think my response to that was, you all believe their lies. No. Yeah, you all believe their lies. They were not exonerated by this ruling. They did everything Blake Lively, Jenny Slate, Isabella Ferrar, and Alex Sachs said they did. And the judge acknowledged as much in his ruling. And now they will face a jury for retaliation, which was at the crux of this case. Blake Lively said under oath that had they not retaliated and attempted to destroy her career and reputation, there would have never been a lawsuit. See you in May. You fucking dumbasses. Every one of you.
That's 6 weeks, man.
Yeah.
Trials is 6 weeks away.
Dude, man. I'm fucking stoked. I'm stoked about it.
Okay, so do you want to hear a little bit? I haven't finished reading this judge's ruling.
Do
I'd like to,
you want
Judge
to do it
Lyman,
Monday?
Huh?
Do you want to do it Monday and keep talking?
Well, Judge Lyman dropped some fucking bombs in this whole thing, so I feel like it should be read. We can do it Monday.
I mean, maybe
also.
we should get started because it's 250 or something, right?
Yes. I read the first 45 pages, and so here I just have like a few of my notes on a teeny tiny Post-it note.
What is this? Bing says they had to connect it to people that didn't like her. And blah, blah, blah. March 24 for making fun of Kate Middleton. What? I guess I'm missing out on the conversation. I need to back it up. I read Blake's expert reports, though, and they don't connect any of it to them. But I'm interested to see what happens. Well, I don't think that that's what her experts are there to do.
They just have to connect it to the date.
I think their experts are there to show what's happening when.
Yeah.
And as soon as they're able to, look, dude, if you see a graph that says that her likability is like this or then it falls off a fucking cliff right after they say they're going to do what they do.
There's no way that a movie is a hit release and fans love it.
Yes.
And then the star of that movie's reputation tanks.
No way. Yeah, remember Leonardo DiCaprio? They just hated him after Titanic. They still can't get over it. I did this hilarious meme a few years back because all these fucking DiCaprio friends were coming after me, telling me to get over it. And then I went, "This coming from you," and it was Kate Winslet on the fucking door raft. Trying to get her back. I was like, maybe you should get over this, Like they're just sitting there like, oh, Jack Dawson in fucking 2020, whatever it was.
I actually saved it for you because I'm planning a whole, I don't know if it's like a podcast or a video, whatever, about Don's Plum and how you're being tormented by having your biggest abusers constantly in media.
Yeah.
Somebody said that a friend told them that they had to go to this one restaurant and if they and to absolutely do not miss looking at the bathroom of this random restaurant. Had nothing to do with any sort of theme, whatever. But the entire bathroom was Titanic themed, like James Cameron's Titanic, like Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet and the Titanic boat, the whole thing.
Yeah, a few years ago that would throw me right into
all muraled. I know you're just at a random restaurant. You decide you have to go to the bathroom, and then all of a sudden it's that. It's just everywhere.
And now it says, quote, blindsided by the allegations. The guy hired a PR firm, crisis PR firm, in case she made her claims public.
I know.
I mean, it's just the most absurd thing. Blindsided.
It's perfect.
Blindsided. He signed a 17-point document in order to be able to continue to work in the fucking first place. Blindsided. Yeah, I mean, the stupidity, of course, is utterly epic.
Bing Bop Boom says she was also promoting a movie the way that people didn't like it. Except the promotion of the movie led to an astoundingly successful release.
It's not astounding. It's literally record-breaking. Yeah. It literally is the number one movie in its genre of all time.
You can't say it was a failure and a massive success.
Does that make any sense? How do you guys make sense of that? The only reason that people are saying that shit is because of the smear campaign that was launched against her. That's the only reason, dude. The only reason that people fucking say that shit is because of the smear campaign that came after. Because it doesn't matter that there are some people who are like, oh, maybe you shouldn't do Betty Boos because fucking domestic violence and all this other stuff. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni was doing booze on his Instagram, 100%, doing his own booze endorsements. So, come on, man. That's so patently absurd. Some people, people take exception to things all the time, right? In the same way that I'm taking exception to what you just said. Who cares? That's just all fucking minor water under the bridge sort of stuff. You're minimizing stuff. and it's not. It doesn't have a basis in reality. No, I like Bing. Bing's good. Bing's a good dude or good woman. I can't tell. I'm sorry to misgender you, but is a good person. It seems. I'm enjoying the conversation with Bing. But look, man, she was promoting a movie the way people didn't like it. That doesn't constitute a retaliation. That doesn't mean anything. What does that have to do with anything about the case? You know, and if you're trying to say that because she was doing that, she went into this severe backlash, that's patently absurd. It's just. There's just no logic behind that.
Never in the history of successful film promotion.
Never.
And it was a successful film promotion.
Yeah.
Would that have occurred?
No, they're not, and again, I don't know if you've seen the graphs, dude, but it's like this fall, this downward trend is what happened right after Crisis PR got involved.
Right, coinciding with the date.
Like to the date, bro. Yeah. To the fucking date. It's not, and that's forensics, bro. It's not fucking, anecdotal. That's like straight up looking at the data. And if you want to pretend that she had Betty Boos and that's what caused it, then I think you're living in a world where you're not coping with the reality.
Okay, would you like to hear some of this judge's ruling?
So Bing says, I never said that it means retaliate. I'm saying it is not far-fetched that it was organic. It is so far-fetched, it's not even funny. It is so far-fetched, it's not even funny. At no point in her career, dude, that woman got married in a plantation and this shit never went down. She got married in a plantation and it got outed. Everyone found out she got married in a plantation and this shit didn't go down. And you want to pretend that organic is possible because she had Betty Boos? Come on, bro. Come on, bro. You're not pulling it. You know what I'm saying? This is where critical thinking has to come into play, bro. You have to use critical thinking. It's so far-fetched, it's hilarious. Remember that when Judge Lyman booted Baldoni's entire case out, not 10 of 13 claims, all claims, when he booted out all claims, he said that there was strong evidence that a smear campaign took place. You can pretend that none of that is real, but it is, dude. She got married in a plantation and didn't experience this. Come on, man. Let's get with the program, bro.
Are we or are we not transitioning?
Dude, just whatever. They said something really fucking irritating and I had to respond.
Okay.
All right, I'm getting it together.
Do you want to or not? I'm not
bro.
understanding what the vibe is here.
That's why I subscribe to this channel.
Okay. All right. So Judge Lyman's ruling, okay?
Yeah.
I'm just going to go through a few points here because obviously it's very dense and he goes over everything.
I think they're going to say that, though. I think they're going to pull that out. They're going to be like, Blake Lively got married in a plantation and didn't experience this. Or maybe that'll be a part of the graph. They'll be like, this is when she got married in a plantation.
Oh, yeah. I know. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or like, this is when she was rude to Kirsty Flaw.
Right. This is when she was mean to Kirsty Flaw. Just fell off the cliff.
Okay. Judge Lyman says, for the following reasons, the motions are granted in part and denied in part. In particular, the motions are granted except with respect to Lively's fourth cause of action for retaliation and violation of the California law against It Ends With Us Movie LLC and Wayfarer Studios. Her seventh cause of action against the agency group PR LLC for aiding and abetting retaliation in violation of California law.
Put that shit out of business. And
her ninth cause of action for breach of an agreement called the Contract Writer Agreement against It Ends With Us Movie LLC.
I love that. That fucking Texas dipshit is gonna be sitting there, bro. He's got a
Jed Wallace, yeah.
Jed Wallace, man. Not trying to get you mad, Dale. I'm not mad. I'm just saying the way I see it, and that's cool. A jury will have to decide. They will. I live in California, so I won't be on it, LOL. So it's just my opinion at the end of the day, and mine. I'm a hothead, bro. No, we're good. We're making up. Angela, you gotta let us make up.
You guys gonna kiss?
They think this person thinks I'm being upset at them, and I'm not really. I'm not upset yet. I'm not gonna kiss. That constitutes harassment here.
Okay, so Judge Lyman says that Lively brought 13 claims against the Wayfarer parties. Okay.
Yeah.
Not all of these have survived. Okay.
Indeed. Yeah.
Number 1, sexual harassment in violation of Title VII of the Civil Rights Act.
Yeah.
Of 1964. Okay.
Yeah.
It was against It Ends With Us movie and Wayfarer. Okay. Number 2, retaliation in violation of Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Again, gone.
Right.
Sexual harassment in violation of the California Fair Employment and Housing Act. That's number 3. Did that one survive? Shit, I gotta write this down. Write this down. Which ones survived?
4,
4,
7,
7, and
10,
9.
9.
4, 7, and 9.
4, 7, 9. 9, 9, 9, 9, 9.
Okay, so her third one was sexual harassment in violation of California Fair Employment and Housing Act, the FEHA.
Yeah.
Number 4 was retaliation in violation of FEHA. Is that one? We're still doing that one?
4?
Yes.
That one is live and well.
Okay. My memory sucks for this kind of stuff.
It's all right. I got
Numbers. I'm bad. Number 5, retaliation in violation of California Labor Code against It Ends With Us movie and Wayfarer. That one did not stick.
you. No.
Number 6, failure to investigate, prevent, and or remedy harassment in violation of the FEHA. That one didn't stick either, right? Number 6?
Nope.
Okay. Number 7, aiding and abetting harassment and retaliation in violation of FEHA. This is against Melissa Nathan, Tag PR, Jennifer Abel, Jed Wallace, and Street Relations. That one stuck.
Yes.
Okay. Number 8, breach of an agreement called the Actors Loan Out Agreement against It Ends With Us movie and Wayfarer. That one didn't stick because the judge ruled that the Actors Loan Out Agreement was voided by neither side agreed to it. Okay. Number 9, and this one stuck?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
Breach of the contract writer agreement against It Ends With Us movie and Wayfarer. Number 10, this one's out too. False light invasion of privacy in violation of Article 2, Section 1 of the California Constitution. That was against Wayfarer, Baldoni, Heath, Sarowitz, Nathan, Tag, Abel, Wallace, and Street Relations. Number 11, cause of action 11, sexual harassment in violation of California Civil Code, Section 51.9 against Baldoni and Heath. And I guess that didn't stick because all of these events happened in New Jersey. Okay.
Yeah.
Number 12, defamation and defamation per se against Wayfarer, Baldoni, and Heath. I'm still curious about how that didn't prevail, but I haven't read that far yet. And number 13, civil conspiracy against all defendants. That's another question mark for me.
Yeah. I mean, the SH ones we could probably skip for later, but, you know.
I just found these little nuggets that I'm going to share with you so far. What are you typing over there? Who are you talking to?
We're talking about how Kirsty Flaw is trash. Oh, no. Yeah.
I know. I'm so sorry that I spoke her name into existence. Now we have to talk about her. I regret that.
And I had to, like, I was telling you she was trash. As I was writing, she was trash. And I miswrote trash because I was telling you about it. I'm not good at that. I don't have that Virgo quality where I can just do multiple things at one time. You know, for me, I have 10 fingers, but I can only use one at a time.
Or you end up like Baldoni, who's also a Virgo, Virgo rising, and he tries to do a million things, but he sucks at all of them and gets himself into trouble.
Well, yeah, because there's that part of being double-bodied where you can take on way too much and not get anything complete.
Yep, I live that too.
Yeah, especially if you got like strong cardinal.
Okay, let's
action.
see. So, you were asking about the Actors Loan Out Agreement and why that was nullified.
Yeah.
Okay. So, among other things, Lively's counsel amended paragraph 7 of the standard terms, the sexual harassment provision, to add that sexual harassment was not only cause for immediate termination of this agreement by the company, but also by the artist. And so Wayfarer's counsel, I'm sorry, I misread this. Counsel further added the following sentence to the conclusion of paragraph 7, in the event, so this was added to the Actors Loan Out Agreement, okay, by Lively's side.
Yeah.
In the event that artist is aware of any sexual harassment conducted by company, notwithstanding the terms in paragraph 16.6 below, lender and or artist shall have the right to terminate this agreement, shall remain entitled to full compensation, and shall have the right to avail themselves of all the rights and remedies herein under applicable law. And that was the addition to her Actors Loan Out Agreement that Wayfarer did not want to sign. They didn't agree to it, and so she didn't sign it because she wanted that provision in there.
Yeah.
If sexual harassment happens, I am allowed to walk, is what she wanted. Okay? So all this time that everybody's been talking about Blake Lively, if she was so upset, why didn't she just leave? Because it literally wasn't in her agreement. She didn't have an agreement that said, if I'm upset enough about your misconduct, I get to leave. Right?
Yeah, no,
she's trying not to get sued by them.
She'll be liable for that.
Yeah.
I mean, you have, they have a massive production going on here. It's a $26 million production budget.
Right.
And
if she refused to come to work,
and it literally is all on her shoulders.
Yeah.
I mean, not literally.
If she refused to come to work, even if she felt fucking physically endangered, or she didn't want the sex pests around her all the time, like she still could have been held liable for halting a production that she signed on to perform in. And so I just thought that this was really interesting part. I didn't know this about.
That's why Joaquin Phoenix got away with what he did when he walked off, when he ended that production, the production about the LGBTQ movie that he wanted to get made with that director. Doesn't matter. He bolted before production began. Had he showed up for work and then bolted,
and then got cold feet,
yeah, he would have gotten sued for sure. He would have had to have been sued because insurance wouldn't have covered it.
Elsewhere in the Actors Loan Out Agreement, Lively's counsel struck from the document the two conditions precedent specifying that It Ends With Us movie's obligations under the agreement were conditioned upon its receiving executed copies of the sign, blah, blah, blah. This is a little bit in the weeds here. Anyway, I just wanted to add this. It Ends With Us movie's counsel flatly rejected these proposed revisions in response on March 7th, 2024. With respect to the sentence added to the end of the sexual harassment provision, It Ends With Us movie wrote, "This is not acceptable. There can be no instances where there is a right to terminate the agreement or have a right of injunctive or have a right of injunctive relief." It Ends With Us movie also rejected Lively's attempts to remove the conditions precedent from the agreement in response to Lively's assertion that the requirement of the executed ALA had been effectively waived in practice. It Ends With Us movie counsel states it still needs to be left in, as it always is, every deal I've ever done. Anyway, so basically the reason why Blake Lively kept being asked to sign and how she neglected to sign was because apparently they still had these ongoing and continuous disputes over what language was going to be in the Actors Loan Out Agreement and which wasn't. And it's really interesting. Are you with me?
I am, yeah.
Because she didn't sign, I saw a few of the people in our chat talking about this earlier today on Reddit. It's fun that you guys use the same username, so I know who you are. But they were saying that if the Actors Loan Out Agreement had been signed, then it would have capped the damages that she could ask for. But because it hadn't been signed, not only does she lose
why
out,
would that be? Why would it cap?
Because it was a provision in there. And so she loses this claim using the Actors Loan Out Agreement, this breach of contract claim, but she also gains the ability to seek damages that aren't capped.
Right.
Because it didn't, it's not a valid thing.
That's so interesting. So on the one hand, it kind of clipped her, and the other hand, it set her free.
Yeah. Huh. And so this whole thing is there's a lot more discussion about their back and forth arguments. I thought one thing that was really interesting was that Wayfair parties had filed something to Judge Lyman making some arguments, and because Lively's parties didn't answer one of those claims, the judge ruled that it was just abandoned, which I thought was really strange, and I wonder whether that was an accident on their part. But
which one?
I can't remember. It isn't. It's just something that has to do with the validity of one thing or another. So it isn't really. It was just like one sentence that I was like, "Oh, they dropped the ball. That's so strange." So maybe that was on purpose, and they didn't actually have a response to that argument. Anyway, I just here is. It Ends With Us. Did agree to certain additional terms and conditions, including the following condition found in paragraph 10 of the contract writer agreement, which is still the prevailing breach of contract one that she's taken to trial. Okay.
Oh, okay.
It Ends With Us movie agrees to certain additional terms and conditions, including the following condition found in paragraph 10. There shall be no retaliation of any kind against artist for raising concerns about the conduct described in this letter or for these requirements. Any changes in attitude, sarcasm, marginalization, or other negative behavior, either on set or otherwise, including during publicity and promotional work, as a result of these requests is retaliatory and unacceptable and will be met with immediate action.
Boom. Crater.
So there we have it. They did agree to that. let's see. What else did I write here?
It's interesting because, it's good that it's there. It's kind of a shame that their own policy, SH policy, doesn't hold them to liability.
Yeah, right?
I mean, they have a policy. They conducted training for everybody in New Jersey.
So
relative to their policy.
That's just like an assumption. I mean, like that's just a suggestion to protect themselves. It's not actually anything enforceable.
No.
Because it's true. They the Wayfair company SH protocol, whatever, their whatever they give to it in the employee handbook, it does say that that independent contractors are protected. Yeah. Anybody who works with them.
All people who engage with the company,
but I guess there's no
fall under their protections. Just not Blake Lively, because she's a woman.
Okay, here's another thing that I saved about why the actors' loan out agreement failed here. Yeah. Ultimately, Lively fails to confront what is the central dilemma in her claim. She contends that the actors' loan out agreement became binding on It Ends With Us movie, the production company, at some point while the parties were still negotiating it, but she can't pinpoint a time when the parties began to be bound by it or which version of the actors' loan out agreement they were bound to.
It's so interesting because, well, okay, that latter part is, I would imagine it would be the agreement leading up to the moment that engagement, that engagement occurred. Like the minute that she showed up for rehearsal.
Yeah, he discusses all of that. It's just.
I'm so confused by that.
Well, they did use they used other agreements that they acknowledged were binding, and so that's what the judge used. Like this contract writer agreement continues. Okay.
By the way, Variety, their headline was Blake Lively lawsuit gutted by judge. That was Variety's headline.
So dramatic.
Fucking clickbaiters.
All right, let me continue, okay?
Yeah.
The existence of, let's see. But she can't pinpoint a time when the parties began to be bound by the contract, the actors loan out agreement, or which version of the actors loan out agreement they were bound to. The existence of a contract requires a mutual assent and intent to be bound. Unless both parties are bound, neither party is bound. Which draft of the...
See what I'm saying? Like, how did we lose Japan? I'm sorry that, I'm deferring back to
You shouldn't have lost Japan.
How could we lose Japan?
Dale's talking about what happened with Don's Plum after
we lost $2 million on that fucking contract, and there was definitely no two parties bound.
I know, it's crazy.
How did we lose?
This is the judge again, Judge Lemon. Which draft...
I know how.
Okay, but listen.
I'm just living in my past.
Which draft of the actors loan out agreement bound Lively? Was it the version that lacked the sexual harassment provision? At oral argument, Lively's counsel suggested that the actors loan out agreement became binding once the parties began performing under the agreement, which is what you said. Which counsel stated was the beginning of filming in May 2023. But if that's so, it would mean that the actors loan out agreement became binding before the sexual harassment provision was even proposed. And if it became binding at some later point, Lively cannot identify when exactly there was an agreement and what that agreement specified. The only conclusion that the undisputed facts would support is that the parties performed services pursuant to the offer letter. It is that document which Lively, through counsel, said that she would perform until such time that the long form is fully executed. That's according to Gottlieb's declaration. And it is only that document under which It Ends With Us movie accepted her performance.
Well, and then it makes a lot of sense because it was never executed by signature. So that makes sense that he is saying, well, this contract then doesn't carry weight.
In sum, the contract drafts, combined with the parties' other written communications and actions, conclusively establish It Ends With Us movie's intent not to be bound to the actors' loan out agreement prior to its execution. Absent such intent, the actors' loan out agreement was never validly formed. Lively's contract claims under that agreement must therefore be rejected.
Wow, this is gonna make sure. Like, let me tell you, man. And evidently this continued. But when I was in Hollywood, banging my head against the wall, probably, I won't say more often than not, but certainly it was relatively common, if not pervasive, that actors did not sign their agreements in any orderly fashion whatsoever. And I think this is setting a very serious precedent about that.
Yeah, well, you don't expect there to be these big
But I'm
This
saying
big
like,
litigation about it.
I
Right.
mean, now they want to do things like put caps on, right? Like, you don't want an agreement that leaves your liability up in the air.
The best thing to do is not to sexually harass people on your
Well,
set.
you can't control everybody, you can't control that one person who said the one thing and so on and so forth. So, although you can have policies in place to deal with the problems as they arise, is what you're supposed to have. They didn't do that either, but that's another argument that the jury won't hear.
There's this other part. I'm just going to read this part. Where she's claiming that her lawyers were saying that the actors loan out agreement was agreed upon because Jamie Heath says, yeah, we'll forego a signature and let you have your days in the editing bay. So she was like, well, that shows that they did agree. And the judge deconstructs that here. Do you care about this?
Yeah, I want to kind of hear that if you don't mind.
Lively has not identified evidence to support that It Ends With Us movie intentionally waived the conditions precedent under the actors loan out agreement. With respect to express waiver, Lively can only point to Jamie Heath's May 3rd, 2024 email in which he stated, "We have withdrawn our request for your client to sign her agreement in order to extend the time with the edit." But as previously explained, Lively takes this email out of context. It does not demonstrate a complete and total waiver of the execution conditions, but only a temporary acknowledgement of Lively's ability to continue with the edit while negotiations were ongoing. It's undisputed that It Ends With Us movie continued asking for Lively to execute the contract after that point, and that she declined to do so.
Wow.
As for implied waiver, so that was express waiver.
Yeah.
As for implied waiver, neither It Ends With Us movie's conduct nor its words were so inconsistent with an intent to enforce the execution conditions as to raise the prospect of a purposeful abandonment of those rights. When Lively's counsel attempted to strike the conditions precedent from the actors loan out agreement on the grounds that they had been waived in practice, and It Ends With Us movie responded that the conditions still needed to be left in, that response did not implicitly concede that It Ends With Us movie had abandoned its rights under the conditions. It Ends With Us movie's insistence on keeping the provisions in the agreement establishes just the opposite. Furthermore, insofar as Lively's counsel suggested that the conditions had been waived by It Ends With Us movie's performance under the actors loan out agreement, that contention failed to account for the fact that Lively herself indicated that she would proceed in reliance upon the terms of the negotiated deal memo, that is, the offer letter, until such time that the long form is fully executed. The only contract that It Ends With Us movie could be deemed to have accepted in practice was the offer letter. So that's another reason why the actors loan out agreement failed. Anyway, I know that this is a lot, but these are just little nuggets that I thought were going to be clarifying about why.
Well, that is clarifying. So thank you for
her
reading
breach of contract claims were thrown out because I thought they seemed really strong. Because in all the evidence that we've seen, you can read the actors loan out agreement, and it says really clearly right there, like no sexual harassment and no retaliation. So when you see a judge be like, no, that's not valid, you're like, but it's also I definitely thought that it made a lot of sense that you have this idea about contracts being a meeting of the minds before they're signed and finalized, and that in Hollywood this typically happens a lot, that when both parties agree to work together and they have these like pending contracts, they agree to some parts of it and they hammer out the rest of it later. It doesn't mean that the entire thing is nullified when they start working.
Right.
But evidently it does.
It's surprising to me. And again, I think a lot of people have been functioning under assumptions of the law that were wildly incorrect. Mm-hmm. We in our own lawsuit fucking decades ago, we believed that that we had an engagement, and that engagement then constituted an agreement. And it's not necessarily true. Engagement doesn't necessarily it enforces. What it does enforce was that two contract signature, which is kind of our two line signature.
But the thing is, with your case, what they tried to claim is that they never gave you approval rights to use their likeness. After they sat in front of your 3 cameras for a film shoot in which all of you and your friends participated, and then you continued to edit it and talk with your friends about how the movie was going the entire time through the edit. And at no point did anybody raise a stink until you tried to get them on the hook for blocking your film at the end.
Yeah.
Because after an argument So a personal dispute, some fucking personal beef that just rose out of nowhere suddenly made them decide that they didn't want to participate in your movie from the start.
Insanity.
So those are the things that I feel like it's just not as cut and dry. Like you can't make these claims after the fact if your behavior prior to that didn't, like I think that it's reasonable to think that if you have some sort of contract dispute, you don't go along as if you don't for literally 2 years and then decide suddenly you do. Like nobody's going to believe that you actually have that dispute.
Yeah.
You're
right.
I only read to the first 45 pages of this thing today because I had shit I had to do. But I am going to read through more over the weekend and find you guys some tasty nuggets from this, because I know that after page 100 of this 152 page document, people have been sharing some of these paragraphs from the judge all over social media. So I'm going to dig through and find the good stuff.
So that's it. That's what we got.
I don't have any more. I could just continue reading, but it's probably going to be dull as shit because there's a lot of this that doesn't need to be.
All right.
Unless you'd like me to.
We can go to chat. Yeah, we can go to chat. Chat's busy.
I just thought I would curate the experience for you guys instead of just reading straight from the page.
Yeah, it's a shame that we got so wrapped up in so much other stuff. But 'tis what it is. Oddly enough, dude, there's something fishy going on with YouTube and me.
Why?
I don't know, dude. Just weird shit is happening with this channel.
What do you mean?
That's inexplicable. In terms of I put a post up yesterday that you got the next day.
Yeah.
You got notified the next day.
When I clicked through after I got your notification, the notification popped up and I clicked through to it and it said that it had been posted 18 hours ago. So it was 18 hours late that I got the notification as one of your subscribers.
So yeah, I don't know. It's discouraging, but
Oh, Blake's personal statement is up. Thanks, Scientist.
Oh, let's get it.
Yeah, let me check this out. Are you going to it?
Yeah, you should, because you're the reader.
Yeah, I got it here. This is great. Blake Lively says, I'm grateful
Fuck yeah, bitches! Take these shit fuckers down!
Go!
Let's fucking go, man!
I'm grateful for the court's ruling, which allows the heart of my case to be presented to a jury next month, and for the ability to finally tell my story in full at trial for my own sake, but also for those who don't have the same opportunity to, many of whom I have known and loved deeply in my life, and the countless I'll never know.
She's talking about me, I think.
She's definitely talking about you.
She might be talking about me.
She probably thinks about you all the time.
She lays there with her eyes wide open, just...
I wonder what Dale's doing right now.
He's breathing somewhere.
I don't know why I gave her a ditzy. She doesn't talk like that.
It's not at all.
I just imagined her being a teenager in Burbank. I wonder what Dale's doing. Blake Lively continues. The last thing I wanted in my life was a lawsuit, but I brought this case because of the pervasive retaliation I faced and continue to, for privately and professionally asking for a safe working environment for myself and others. I hope the court's decision shows others that, as unfathomably painful as it is, you can speak up. Don't be distracted by the digital soap opera. The constant packaging of this lawsuit as a celebrity drama is not only irresponsible, but it is by design, to keep you from seeing yourself in my story. The physical pain from digital violence is very real. It is abuse, and it's everywhere, not just in the news, but in your communities and schools. If you're looking, my claims won't be the first or last time you'll see examples of the extreme dangers of retaliation and digital warfare, and it often won't be directed at celebrities or those who may be able to speak up. It affects us all across the political spectrum. Pay attention to all the ways we can be manipulated online. Digital manipulation has been boasted as untraceable. If you have kids on phones, they are some of the most vulnerable. Protect them. Have conversations with them. Studies estimate that between 16% and 58% of women have experienced online abuse or stalking, with 97% of gender-based violence service providers reporting technology-facilitated abuse in their cases. So much critical work has already been done to expose systems, tactics, and players who harm. The work to create more safety is in part at trial, but it will also be but it will also continue far after this trial is over. This is the work I'm most proud of. I couldn't begin to stand up if not for the countless who have gone before me and the masses who are still around us all. Creating laws, social change, sparking conversations, rallying, working privately and publicly, risking and sometimes losing everything for the sake of others in all spaces. Some whose names we know, most we don't. Thank you, all of you. I will never stop doing my part in fighting to expose the systems and people who seek to harm, shame, silence, and retaliate against victims. I know it's a privilege to be able to stand up. I will not waste it. Your support keeps me going. And she put a little dragon emoji. I will not waste it. And it looks like that's a little dragon.
She's her own dragon now. You know when Khaleesi had the little dragons and then they became big dragons? It's like that. She's like a little dragon now.
That's dope.
Well, that's refreshing and well spoken, you know.
Thanks for sharing that, scientist.
Go Blake Lively. Go Blake Lively. Oh, listen, man. I've become a fan of hers through this because until I saw It Ends With Us, I think that was the first thing I've ever seen her in. I remember everybody talking about, you know, his sisterhood. And I was like, I'm not going to watch that. You know what I mean? Especially back then. You know, I was a dude watching Lars von Trier movies. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
It's not the same, no.
No, you know. But I'm a fan of hers now because I think that she's doing the right thing here. And I think she's doing it for the right reasons. I don't think she's doing this I think she knew. I think, you know, she's not, I think, you know, especially after you hear what Big Shot at Sony said about her, this is not a woman who's thoughtless. You know, she sat down, she figured, she knew what she was up against and she knew there was going to be a fury. Yeah. There was already one that was, a boiling hot mess before she even began speaking out in not only her defense, but taking action to defend herself. And so I just have a tremendous amount of respect for her. And I do feel like what she's doing is something for all of us, you know. My case is long gone and I got destroyed and I was crushed by the very same bullshit that was, that was launched against her with the same intent. And obviously we didn't have technology back then. So it was just all, you know, in the fucking back alleys of Hollywood, but you know, it destroyed me and I've never been the same and I'll never be the same, you know? So that she's willing to take something that was so profoundly good and strong and risk it all in the way that she has, you know, there was a way to try and bring this back around, you know, like getting these men to the table and then coming out with joint statements. And, you know, there are ways in which you can pour water on the fire. And she didn't. She fanned it. You know, she fanned the flames with the truth.
What I also love about these statements from her attorneys and also from her is that they are definitely ready for trial. Like I've seen some people talk about how now that half of her cases, half of her causes of action have been thrown out, that maybe she'll settle now. Like now there could probably be a settlement.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
If there could be a settlement now?
Yes, that's what people are saying on the Baldoni side.
They're just absolutely.
But now she's definitely going to settle because she doesn't have most of her claims
anymore.
I
want to put it as nicely as I can. They're absent-minded, you know, or their minds are absent of objective truth. You know, this person who's now gone, but you know, that she claimed to be a critical thinker because she worked for somebody.
Listen,
it's just so absent-minded.
I don't feel any superiority about it at all because I know that these people are in their professional jobs at this high level because they're really good. The publicists, they're really good at manipulating media.
Yeah. And
I know from like just reading, just because I'm a sicko and I like true crime stuff, but just reading about like cults and how they operate. Like anybody who ever studies this kind of stuff, the first thing that they say is that every single person is susceptible. You too can be brainwashed very easily. And so obviously I'm not talking about like, I don't think that tag PR brainwashed anybody, but it is extremely easy to trick people. You know, all you have to do
Now more
is
than
like
ever.
incite some sort of emotion, and then you've got them on a leash already, you know, like we're all susceptible to it. And so I feel like I do believe that these people have been tricked. I don't think that it's their fault for being tricked. I feel like they're victims too.
Well, I don't know.
you know,
I mean,
I wish that they'd
maybe
wake
some
up.
are, you know, maybe some are, but then for me, the way I see this now, and, you know, like young people, whatever, but I don't think I would have been much different in my 20s in terms of diligence, like due diligence. Like, I don't accept anything on its face ever.
No,
you
for me
know?
too. Like I can remember. I think maybe it's from being like the youngest kid that was constantly getting pranked all the time and being super irritated about it. But like I remember that if you were called gullible, it was like the fucking worst thing. Like never allow yourself to be gullible. That was like
No, it was
the prevailing lesson of my childhood.
Yeah, no, it was a fucking a serious insult, actually.
Exactly.
You know, like, don't bother. Oh, you know, and then and people would test it constantly. People were always testing the gullibility
Yeah,
of another, especially if they heard rumor that there was a gullible among, you know, somebody gullible among them. You know, they were like, oh, let's you know, sell them a fucking, you know, you know, one of the early lessons in my life was, you know, here I think they sell. Well, in Canada, my uncle. He was like, I'll sell you a silver boat for $1. And I was like, he's like, I'm serious, kid. I'm going to give you a silver boat, a boat made of silver. Okay, a model, not a big boat. He said a model, also a model boat, like not a model. He didn't say a model. He was like a boat, like a silver boat for $1. Give me $1 and I'll give it to you. And I was like, fuck that. That sounds like a good deal to me. So I went, you know, I'm a kid, man. $1 is $1, bro.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Fucking big, especially in 19 whatever, fucking 70 something, you know? So I go to my fucking treasure chest of, you know, that probably had $3 in it or something, and got me $1 and went out to my uncle and handed to him, and he handed me a dime. And a Canadian dime, there's a boat on it.
Oh my God.
And it was a silver sailboat.
And you're like, you son of a bitch.
So, you know, he took $1 and gave me a fucking dime.
Yeah.
And you know, there were two instances in my life where I was just like, wow, I got to watch out for these fucking people, don't I?
Why are
My dad did the
grown-ups
same
such
thing.
assholes?
He in Winnipeg, we have on our parliamentary building, we have a statue of a golden boy with a wheat, you know, whatever. It's probably some mythological fucking dude that I don't know about.
Do you guys call it the Golden Boy?
We call it the Golden Boy. It's called the Golden Boy, yeah. So we were driving down the main street where the Golden Boy, and you could see the Golden Boy. My dad was like, "Holy shit, the Golden Boy just changed legs
Because he's standing on
because he's
one
standing
leg.
on one leg." And my mom's like, "Oh, that's ridiculous, Doug." And my brother's like, "No, he didn't." And my dad's like, "He sure the fuck did. I just saw him change legs." And so I backed my dad up. You know, I was like, "Yeah, I saw it. He changed legs." And then my dad turned me into a fucking idiot. You know?
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah. So and at that point I was like, and so there's, you know, my own, but it was my own vulnerability. And yeah, I've resented him. So here I am, 56 years old. The guy, I don't know, I haven't talked to him in 2 weeks. He might've died already.
This is the thing, man.
But it never left me because it was humiliating.
To that shit too. I don't understand how social media, every now and then you see people in relationships or have families where they just prank each other all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, that's like psychological fucking warfare. Like I could never cope. I would grow up to be the most dysfunctional person if I had to grow up in one of those families. You know, because like stuff like that you deal with as a kid, it just never leaves you, where you're like, I got fucking tricked by somebody who I trusted, who led me to believe I could trust them. And so it's just like, here's the thing, is like, this is why I don't feel superior to any of the people who got rooked by these like super high paid, extra professional, they have all the fucking mechanisms for manipulating media and they get paid top dollar to do it. Like,
Yeah.
Of course you're going to get tricked by those people. They're pros in a business where that's their total job. They get hired specifically because they're excellent at that. Fucking, they're mentioned in the fucking Epstein files because they're so good at conflating what's true and turning it into falsehoods and screwing up the whole story so nobody knows what's up.
I'm telling you, man, and you know, it's going to sound ridiculous, and it's not entirely true in terms of like my actual soul, but I sometimes wish I was a bad dude.
Why?
Because bad dudes win.
Oh, come on.
And no, it's true, dude. It's everywhere.
No,
It just happens everywhere.
All of these people are fucking miserable. You think just Justin
I'm not talking
Baldoni
about their
has a
fucking
good
state
time
of mind. I'm
fucking-
talking about their ability to fucking beat out and trample on the good guys. And, I've said this earlier, and this is a part of the discouraging feelings I've had all day, in large part because of all this, but if not entirely. But, it's just like, the good people, the people with good intentions, the people who have, have a strong moral foundation are the majority of the people around us.
Yes,
in every environment, whether it's Hollywood, whether it's America as a whole, whether it's the state of Georgia, whether it's the state of fucking Alabama, Mississippi, Missouri, doesn't fucking matter. I promise you, the majority of the people in every one of those states are good.
I know,
but the bad prevails, and in those states in particular, the two Republican.
Why those states in particular?
Because I'm talking about Alabama, Missouri, and fucking Georgia. I'm talking about where bad people have trampled on good people for time immemorial.
I think that this is what causes people to just drop out. Because what you're talking about is situations
this is the problem
in which
with
you're
good people. Good
you're
people
doing business with a bunch of different people, or you're trying to compete in an industry or whatever, and you see all these, bad people doing crimes, and then they get away with it and stuff. And I think that that's what causes people to just drop out and do, bring things closer to home and sort of
hard to blame them,
their environment more.
But it's a part of why I admired Blake Lively so much, because she could have dropped out. She could have fucking made this go away. She could have put fucking paint over the fucking the problem.
No, it's true. And also
instead she was like, "Nah, I'm gonna do this."
We didn't talk about Harvey Weinstein's jailhouse interview, but I've saved it, and it is incredible.
Well, we'll cover it. We got to cover it.
The guy is just, he's lost it. Like, he doesn't understand. I'm sorry. He's not going to admit what he did. He says that he's sorry for being portrayed the way that he did, but he still thinks it's like a big fucking misunderstanding. And the person who interviews him is not letting him get away with it. It's incredible.
We got to listen to it.
But the reason why I brought that up is because there were, when he fell, right? When he had his fall from grace, I don't know how much grace he had in the beginning, but when he had his big fall, there were people that came out and spoke up about their Hollywood experience, about how they literally did just check out. Like, it was too hard for them to compete constantly with the predatory behavior and the abusive behavior, that they were just like, fuck this, I'm just going to go back to my hometown and like try to make my way another way. And that happened to a lot of women. And so it's another reason why I'm so grateful for Blake Lively for trying to at least stop this machinery from continuing to harm people. Mm-hmm. Because the damage that these publicists are doing is just so, it's going to get, it's so wide reaching.
It has to be stopped, because it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. They are the decay of our, especially when you see such. Look, I've read some of the science that's coming out on this, but people are just buying what they're being sold, whether it's from AI or it's from, these manipulative Machiavellian fucks who are running these PR firms. It doesn't matter, necessarily where the source is, but the vulnerability is there. And a part of it, by the way, and there's a new piece of science that I'll get into probably on Monday or Wednesday next week, but there's new science talking about the way in which, short video clips are like high manipulative power, like have high manipulative power.
This is true.
I know Angela's right. Happiness in Your Life says Angela's right. Bad guys don't win. It just feels like they do. And I feel like, look, and I know that it's in part because, listen, I've been living a life where they have prevailed over me by and large. They have. There's no way that you can convince me differently. Because of my lived life, and my felt life, I have been on the unfortunate end of the nice guy finishing last, cliche, trope, if you will.
Yeah.
I've just unfortunately lived that, more than I've lived, a life where, and I do consider myself a good guy. I'm a flawed human being, but I've never brought harm to anybody, ever. I've never had a malicious intent or thought against another human being in my adult life. I had my childhood issues breaking out of, all the abuse that I survived. But as an adult, I came out of that understanding where the abuse and where all the other things that had sort of slanted my ability to develop, right, in a moral and principled way, and I discovered those things on my own. I worked hard on it, man. I fucking studied new age metaphysical shit to try and find truth. I dropped a lot of psychedelics, and I'm not joking.
This is why I think that your journey towards the justice you're seeking isn't over.
It definitely
Like,
isn't over.
I know
Here I
that
sit.
I know that previously you weren't well resourced enough to kick them in the teeth the way they deserve to be kicked in the teeth. But I think that time is coming for you. And I think that it's important that you continue working towards that capability. Because you're only trying to get for them what they deserve, right? Mm-hmm. Which is some justice.
Yeah.
And some, repairing the damage that they did to you, right? It doesn't seem like that's too much to ask. And I just think you just need some
closure for sure, but
I feel like you just need
it's also just like
resources and some people to help.
It's also like to go to a golf analogy that I brought up here before.
A golf analogy?
Yeah, because like in golf,
delightful.
Golf is a terrible sport in so many ways in terms of like how frustrating it is for people to play. To play the game of golf is a very frustrating thing. Yeah, absolutely. It's really, 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 really fucking hard. But what they say about golf is there's that one shot that keeps you coming back. And I'm looking for that in my life. No, you make a one shot, like you hit the ball and it's like, I've had those. I've played golf. I'm terrible at it. But I've gone on the course and then I hit that one shot and I was like, fuck, dude, that went straight.
Yeah, but you make it sound like you're super depressed or something.
Not these days. But
what do you mean?
I'm feeling down today.
You're looking for that one shot that keeps you coming back?
Yeah, so in terms of just like something good prevailing, enough about me, but I'm just saying that for some people, and I know this to be true, and I think a lot of what will come out of this trial, if she prevails, will be a lot of people who feel that sort of underlying inspiration, like if it happened to her, it could happen to me.
I just feel like you're saying good guys win, and bad guys win and good guys lose.
Bad guys keep winning, yeah.
I found it kind of freeing to look at the good and bad in different ways. The winning and losing in different ways, I should say. Like, for instance, you look at how Baldoni talks in his deposition testimony. And this guy is psychically suffering extremely. He is constantly feeling like he's under threat. He is surrounded by people, whether it's family members who are supportive, his religious group who is super supportive and always there for him, and people he literally hires to be there and help him. And he is constantly reporting that he feels alone and sad. And like, that's a guy
So
this is a bad guy who may be winning in some ways, but he is not fucking winning. You look at any of these people, do you think that any of the people in power who are these fucking evildoers that were constantly being suffering, do you think they're happy people?
But to your Baldoni point though, Baldoni was winning. He lost the game because he has whatever disorders he has, psychological or otherwise. He has these disorders that are destroying him. Somebody's bringing up Weinstein, right? Happened in your life, saying Weinstein got brought down. Weinstein for decades lived lavishly. He was adored. He was awarded. Yeah. He was exalted.
He was like a fucking
He lived the highest possible life you can possibly live in a capitalist society.
This is true.
This guy had it all, and he had it for decades. Yes, his hubris brought him down. His stupidity brought him down. But he could have continued minor abuse and just kept on going. He decided he'd go all in and became this fucking serial rapist, and that eventually led to his undoing. But make no mistake about it, Weinstein lived large. Yeah, it's a rough ending for him, and thank goodness for that. A good example of it actually is we were watching a crime show the other day, and in this crime show, this case had gone cold for decades, and they finally, through DNA evidence, were able to narrow it down to one guy, and they got him, and they fucking snatched him up, and he went to jail. Before he went to jail, when they got him in jail. He ended up talking to an inmate, these fucking morons like they do. And he's talking to an inmate and he tells the inmate, I've won anyway. Like his trial was still forthcoming. And he was like, I won no matter what, because I was living free for the last 40 years. Yeah. He murdered a girl, raped and murdered a girl.
When he was a young man. That's true.
And he escaped that and he lived for 40 fuck years. And yes, he was brought to justice. And yes, so there's closure for family. And yes, there's a certain feeling of...
You're wrong about that case, though. You made it more upsetting. He
didn't rape?
Well, he murdered her, but he didn't rape her.
Is that true?
No, it was just like a ambush killing. It was... Nobody could figure out what his motive was.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. So I'm sorry. I didn't mean to add... Well, it is...
He's super bad, but
it's easy to confuse amongst these people. The point's still the same, which is that he, for 40 years, ate with his family, Well, the family who suffered the loss,
That's true.
felt completely destroyed by it and
it's true.
destroyed for it by decades.
Her parents passed away never knowing what happened to her.
Like in the end of my book, I say, nothing can happen anymore today that will ever change what I've gone through. I'm a wrap.
No, I know they can't.
I went 30 years. It's a
they
wrap.
can't make it. They can't
No.
fix it.
Throw $10 million at me, and yeah, I'll buy a fucking nice house, and I'll go on some nice vacations, and I'll have all the latest fucking, fuelless cars in my fucking driveway.
No, you're gonna buy guitars this week.
And guitars and all kinds of other fucking little stupid things that I'll probably do when that money happens, because fucking goddamn it, I'm gonna just believe in it. But it'll none of that. Like as soon as that money wears off, as soon as that moment, I would not be surprised if the family who saw that man brought to justice had that moment of like, yes. And then when it was all over, fuck that cocksucker got to, fuck that guy got to live, all these years. I'm sorry for that terrible, I got crazy with that. But fuck that guy who got to live that way, live free for all those years. I feel so bad.
Why?
Because it's like a really bad thing to say, because
It's not though, because you didn't mean it that way.
Yeah, I didn't, of course.
No, you're allowed to use like old timey swear.
Sometimes I go back to Deadwood.
Right.
The great series.
He didn't mean it that way either.
They didn't. No, as a matter of fact, that writer for Deadwood used that slur because he needed to find what he thought was the equivalent of the one being used at the time,
which was normalized.
Which was completely normalized at the time. It was like saying like "damn it" or
like
something,
shit or something. It's like
yeah,
not a big deal.
Yeah, I guess like like asshole or something.
So
that guy's an asshole.
He had to find something that really stung.
That really stung, so he used that slur. But forgive that slur for me. I apologize.
Feel bad.
I do.
That's the thing is like
if I was gay, Jerry Metters. He's gay. Yeah, he's homosexual. I love him. He's the most lovable guy in the world. He's a very close friend to me to this day. And that's what he always talks.
He uses the F slur, right?
He uses the C slur, the CS slur on himself.
Oh,
he calls himself an old CS sometimes.
I was thinking you were
very funny.
There's a South Park episode about how all the kids are using the F slur. And they're questioned about it, about why it's like.
He also uses the F slur.
They're like, it's a hate crime for you to use the F slur, and the kids are like, "What are you talking about? Like, we're not using it as a hate crime. We're just using it to call." He was like, "Do you ride your motorcycle really loud? Then you're an F slur."
Well, the funny thing about that, there was that thing where the homosexual community gave that guy a pass because he's like a really good dude, and he was using the F slur. When he was talking about cops or something.
He was calling cops the F slurs.
He was calling F slurs.
And his wife was horrified.
And his wife was like, I want you to understand that this is a progressive man.
Yeah.
He loved,
But he's working class from Boston, so he uses the F slur. And only when he's talking about cops. It's really hilarious.
By the way, just incidentally, before we sign off here, and I've had such a great time, and I do feel better that I missed you guys yesterday, man, big time.
I do want to bring this one up.
I was about to bring something up. We'll get to the chat.
Okay.
Real quick is I very quickly I watched the juror number 4's interview
in the Corey Richins murder
for the
trial.
Corey Richins trial, and it was so frustrating, dude. This guy said that they like when asked about the attempted murder charge, he said
that was the one where she delivered a sandwich from a restaurant to her husband, who is known to have food allergies.
Yep.
She gave him the sandwich. He felt sick.
Yeah.
And they think that it was her attempted murder.
And they convicted her for attempted murder on that. They didn't test the sandwich. They have no evidence whatsoever that anything happened at all. The only evidence that they had that he thought mattered. This is what he and
juror number 4.
Juror number 4 convicted her for attempted murder, because he said she delivered the sandwich, he ate the sandwich, got sick, and when he got sick, he called her or texted her or whatever that communication was and said, "Hey, I'm feeling really bad if this doesn't improve." This is actually what he said, and this is not what the juror remembered, but I remember. But what he said was, if it doesn't improve, if I don't get better soon, I think I might have to go to the hospital. And then her response was, sum and substance, wait it out, see what happens, you'll probably be fine. And that is why he convicted her for attempted murder.
What?
Yeah. And he said that it was unanimous on the murder charge.
Oh my God.
Unanimous on the murder charge.
Scary.
He said of what was her name? Courtney what?
Carmen Lauber.
Carmen Lauber
Was the drug dealer.
She was the drug dealer who was threatened with a 7-year prison sentence if she didn't deliver what they needed to pin the murder on Corey Richins.
Yeah, literally the police said that.
Literally played for the jury.
So what did he say about that?
He thought that she was truthful. He thought that and here's what he said, and this was the most amazing thing. He said, yes, the defense was able to prove that she would lie when there was something in it for her. Oh my God. The cop literally is threatening her for 7 years in prison.
Oh my God.
No, but you know what I mean? Like directly, it was right there. Literally said, you're going to do 7 years, 5 for the first. She had 2 outstanding, 3 felonies, but 2 first-degree felonies. That she was up for or whatever, and then the fucking cop said that the DA is going to put you away for 5 years on the first and 2 years on the second, concurrent, and you'll go away for 7 fucking years unless you give us
I literally
what we
wrote
need.
down what the police said in their interrogation.
Okay, you have it right in front of you now?
So here's where it's at with your case in your drug court. They're looking to pull your drug court deal and ask for 7 years on your 2 firsts, 5 years for the first felony, and 40% portion for the second for 7 years. The only exception to that, and the thing that they're willing to kind of help you out with, is if you could help us out with this. And then the next cop, he says, he means like give up the details that will ensure Corey gets convicted of murder.
And so the juror number 4 said in the interview that, yeah, the defense proved, but he totally disregarded this testimony. He completely disregarded this testimony after saying that they had successfully proved that this woman would lie if there was something in it for her, is citing the beer or the alcoholic beverages that she was caught with at the concert, and so on and so forth.
Okay, so we knew that the jurors were off their asses when they came back with a murder conviction.
I can't even believe it. There's another one I just saved it to my watch because another one came out. It was a 53-minute interview.
Okay, let me just say. Yeah. We knew that the jurors were off their asses.
For
because
sure.
How did they watch the same trial that we did?
And not have reasonable doubt.
Yeah. And then, so what else did you learn?
So
different from that.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, I'm just telling you what he
like. It
he
just
said.
confirmed that yes, you guys were off your asses.
Practically disregarded the lover, the hunky, troubled inner.
You thought he was a hunk?
I mean, if I was a woman, don't give me that shit. Everyone did. Guy was right out of a fucking romance novel. Straight out of a romance novel. Forget about it, man. Rugged man, living on the edge. Working class handyman.
Strong.
Yeah, she put me up in the house and I started fucking banging her. You know, come on. So that guy was apparently like, they just disregarded his testimony entirely. And didn't even think that the confession or the so-called confession of her saying that, asking him about if he'd ever killed anyone or whatever, like just kind of threw the whole thing out. Found the sister wildly credible. This is the victim's sister. I forget her last name, but a Richins. Anyway, listen to me, man, when I tell you that it's the most frightening thing. It is the most frightening thing because this juror, seemed like a really good guy, like a decent human being, like a kind of guy that, I'd sit across from the bar with and have a decent conversation with him and feel good about, who's sitting across from me. And he came off as a very good-hearted individual. But my God, he threw a woman in jail and he didn't have any evidence to do it.
I know.
And he's like talking about it openly. And by the way, the guy, I think it was from Court TV, the guy interviewing him had all kinds of bias against Corey Richins. Is one of those, I am this person and I am Corey Richins. And what I mean by that is, people just turned on me. They just turned on me. Jerry Metters to this day, he'll just come out of the blue when we're conversing on the phone or whatever. He'll be like, why did everyone just turn on you, Dale? You never did a single thing to anybody. But they did. They all turned on me. They all turned me into this bad human being. I never literally not any one of them could sit down and itemize a single thing I did to any fucking one of them that would be worthy of the kind of vitriol and disdain that they've doled out to me over the years. I've done nothing to anybody. I just became a target of their fucking hatred out of the blue. Makes no sense. I mean, it does in my astrology. That for another day, perhaps this Sunday. So I kind of see what's going on here on a sort of metaphysical level. This is one of these situations where everyone just looked at her and went, she's toast. And it's kind of what happened to this woman, because this and what. Here's the one thing that the juror did say that I felt that I related to. Why the fuck did they just rest?
Oh, the defense.
The defense just
defense
rested.
team really did fail.
And I know why.
Right.
Because the burden is on the prosecution,
Yes.
and they
But they were too
were
comfortable.
right in their in their assertion that the prosecutor failed to do it because he did.
No, but they were too comfortable.
But they were too comfortable.
They needed to work
so
harder.
his word was shocked that they.
What they needed was a big graph, like a big diagram.
Yeah.
That said, Carmen Lauber sold Corey Richens these substances and list them. And then on the other side of the panel, say, Eric Richens had these substances in his toxicology report when he passed away and the medical examiner conducted their forensic analysis, right?
Yeah.
And they do not match.
They do not match.
So it's completely irrelevant to the case of how Eric Richens passed away.
Yeah.
That you're making a whole trial about how Corey Richens bought drugs from her housekeeper, Carmen Lauber.
She also had a
They
motive.
did not end up in the deceased person's body.
And Carmen Lauber had a motive. The motive was to put her in jail because it was her. It was between the two of them, and obviously she's going to pick fucking. So that was totally wild. The other thing that the juror said that I totally related to was the fucking closing arguments. The defense's closing arguments, it was garbage. It was fucking garbage. I'm still aghast at it. At the closing arguments by the defense. The prosecutor, and this is so interesting because the fucking juror was like, that was the prosecutor's best moment in the whole trial. And I couldn't agree more. I thought the prosecutor was dropping the ball through the whole fucking trial until they did their closing argument and they just nailed it like a kid nails a science presentation in school where you're just like, God damn, you did all that work? Like he had it all in line. He, drew lines from one thing to the other. Just did an excellent job at making their case, even if their case was based on absolutely nothing factual.
Just assumptions.
Just assumptions, just feelings,
I would have given them such a hard time in that jury.
Oh, dude, they would have never, they would have been a hung jury. There's no way I'm walking out of that room convicting that woman with a fucking sandwich. fucking sandwich?
Yeah, when he's
Jesus
got
Christ.
known allergies, the guy has EpiPens.
Patently absurd. And then knowing full well that absolutely nobody said that they sold their fentanyl. But then the other thing that the juror said was that the Michael Jackson drug really rang true, for them. And the other thing that the juror said that was not unreasonable, and this goes to them not calling any witnesses, which was, hey, dude, why didn't you bring that so-called client that you bought the drugs for then? But my understanding was that she bought the drugs for him, but was using the client as the veil. Again, if she'd have taken the stand, maybe she would have been able to get that on the record, and that might have helped her. But in any other, but I just couldn't believe for a second, and I still can't believe for a second, that anybody with any credibility would have put this woman down, and they did. And juror number 4 only did confirm to me, and I'm going to watch this other juror to see if this other juror can make any fucking sense of this conviction, because I can't understand it, and I'm almost certain that they put a woman who didn't commit the murder behind bars. I don't think she did it. I don't think she did it at all. I think that a bunch of things coincidentally and circumstantial things line up coincidentally to convict that helped convict her with this fucking unbelievable jury. But it frightens me to my bone. It really does, because people just believe shit. Okay, the murder or whatever, but the sandwich, dude?
No,
how can you convince her, convict this woman of attempted murder? It is the most, and to hear him explain it to me is you heard yourself,
also,
right?
The toxicology report of the deceased person matters. The reason why it was so clear that Karen Reed had not murdered by running over with a vehicle her boyfriend was because his body did not tell that story. So in the Corey Richens murder trial, Eric Richens' body did not tell the story.
That's right.
It's I don't know where he got that drug, how he ingested it, but you cannot say that this woman is at all responsible.
The other thing he said, and this is how the credibility of cops when they do their fucking, and he's up there saying shit well, I've never seen anyone grieve like that before. Covering her face, he said. Covering her face to him was a red flag. That's not evidence of murder.
No.
That's just fucking the most fucking
You're
absolute.
just judging her.
It's the most absurd thing I've ever heard. Even if she did it, that's still not evidence of murder. It's the most ridiculous thing ever.
It's
that you could be
horrible.
convicted of giving somebody a sandwich for attempted murder when there's no toxicology, there's nothing. The person was fine. They didn't die. They didn't even get hospitalized.
No, he had an allergy.
And then the guy was like, what do you think was in the sandwich? He's like, oh, no, nobody knows. I couldn't fucking believe it. It was just absurd. Listen. Yeah.
Fellbaumling was in the chat, said, just came in. Is Blake's case dead in the water at this point, or is there a reason to push forward to trial? We've been talking about it. And what's really adorable is that everybody else in the chat answered Phil Baumling's question.
That's great. By the way, Phil Baumling, I went and checked out that Rush Juno performance, and it was like, man, it kind of, it was emotional for me.
Oh,
it was super emotional for me. Yeah, I mean, Geddy Lee, man, he's 70, he's still pushing it, man. I mean, it's tough, like, to sing the way he sings, but to push out that like first record, my God, I was impressed indeed. And that it's a four-man band. Of course, one of the men being a woman.
Okay, but to answer the question, is Blake's case dead in the water
Certainly
at this
not.
point? Or is there a reason to push forward?
No, the absolute crux of the case is going before a jury, and the evidence is overwhelmingly in her favor. Mm-hmm. The judge agrees with that. Yep. We certainly agree with that. Yep. I think that they're going to get. I think the biggest worry I have for the case moving forward isn't whether or not she wins. It's what that award will be. If the award isn't substantial, I think I'll feel like it's a loss. Like if they come out of there, like they give her like, if like they get like a Johnny Depp, decision, like Depp won the trial, but he got fucked, it was fucking bullshit. You know what I mean? And look, Amber Heard wasn't representative of any kind of big billionaire fucking money or anything like that.
Like Steve Sarowitz.
Right. But it was up and it was,
That's the thing is he's a billionaire. So what kind of punitive damages could there possibly be?
Exactly.
Like, does she own the company now? Like, I don't understand.
Look, I mean, I want to see TAG out of business.
Yeah.
I want to see, I want their insurance to deny them. I want it all out of pocket because what the truth about billionaires is they're worth about 10% in cash, he's worth $1 billion. He'd be lucky to have $100 million in cash. Like, so, hit him hard, make him sell everything he's got, to hand it all over to Blake. And that would make me feel good. But if nothing else, but having this heavy cloud of a massive financial judgment over his head for the next 20 years, I would be thrilled for her and for him and for everybody else. And it would send a fucking clear message about conduct on a set and in the workplace in general.
This one's for you, okay?
Yeah.
A scientist said, also, Dale, my early feedback on the new Civilization 7.
Yes.
Is for you to wait for the test of time update goes live before buying.
Okay.
It is going to drastically change the game.
Okay, because
like literally change the game.
Because I was
the literal game.
I'm so glad you said that because like you got me looking. Like I was back into my wish list and I was like, and then I was like, no, I'm not going to do this.
Archival Raccoon says, honestly, beware of any game pre-orders.
Well, and this isn't pre-order. This thing's been live for a fucking long time. This is the problem with this game is that it got hit hard with. So she's talking about a new update because the thing has been beat from the beginning. Okay, last thing I have is on Sunday, we are doing Neptune and it's going to be a banger. I'm super excited about it. We've been working on it now overtime.
When you're talking about Neptune, it's not going to be a banger. It's going to be more like, ooh.
Yeah, it's going to be a mystic
like
banger.
Ghosts in your hallways.
It's going to be a great moment.
They don't bang.
In
they
our
kind
little,
of hunt.
Yeah. And, just for anyone who doesn't know what that is, we do study sessions on Sundays for astrology. We'll probably incorporate tarot at some point, or I want to. Maybe Angela doesn't want to because she's been whatever. But
I'm a purist.
Whatever. Hang out with Chris Brennan then.
I might.
I'm not a purist.
Hang out with Chris Brennan.
I'm not a purist. I believe in correspondences more than anything, actually. I think that the whole universe is speaking to us through all the elements and beyond. So Sunday, Neptune. We're going to be there from 2 to 4? Yeah. 2 to 4 on Sunday.
On the Patreon.
Mm-hmm. Come check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'd love to have like 4 people there. You know what I mean? Maybe we'll make biscuits. It's going to be a lot of fun though. Angela's been working extremely hard preparing us. As I cook, she reads and reads and reads.
Don't make it too big, bro. Don't make it too big.
No, I'm going to make it big, man. I'm trying to sell this shit. I want people to come hang out with us. It's super fun. And there's a lot to learn. And Neptune has just moved into Aries. And so Neptune is a big fucking deal right now. We've got a long run in Aries. And so learning about it and how it might mix with the element of fire is a really, really big deal. And the one thing I've gotten into so much lately is the elements. And my God, it's so special. And it does just have such profound effect in terms of dignity and so on and so forth. So hope to see you on Sunday. Loved hanging out with you today. We will see you also Monday if we don't see you on Sunday. Yes?
Yeah. And I'm going to read some more over the weekend of this ruling and select some little tidbits for you guys.
Yeah, we'll do some of that.
We're going to continue to, we're going to join Judge Lyman in his shit talking of the Wayfair Parties case.
Yeah. And I think another thing that we'll start a conversation of doing is talking about the future of the channel. Like what do you guys want us to be and do? You know, we've been really hooked into this trial. This trial is going to come and go. I think this trial is going to be done in a minute.
What does the future look like?
So what does the future look like? We want to make this channel with you. And so we'll start talking about that as well as the days go on.
Ghost Cat is with us, and I love biscuits.
I'll make you special biscuits. Come hang out with us. It'll be so fun. All right. For anyone who's watching this in the rerun or whatever they call that, the replay, you're invited on Sunday too. And thank you so much. Give us likes. Give us love. We want to keep this channel going. You're the only ones who can help us do that. And if we're not doing what you want us to do, then guide us, because we will. Except nudity. We have a nudity writer around here, and we're not doing any. And no birthing videos. Absolutely no birthing videos. Well, we watched that whale. We watched that whale birthing video.
Get out of here.
It was kind of rough too. Birthing videos, bro. They're
You're
tough.
done.
All right, I gotta go. I love you guys. I'll see you guys Sunday and Monday. Bye-bye.
Good night.